Take a look behind the curtain with a real whistleblower and American patriot. Prepare to embrace the uncomfortable truth because this program has no time for comforting lies. Here is civil liberties enthusiast, Second Amendment defender, and recovering FBI agent Kyle Seraphin.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Kyle Seraphin Show. Today is Friday. It's May the 8th, and I guess we're going to go back and do the war thing with Iran. Luckily, Trump had the pool cleaned. So the Lincoln reflection pool was cleaned, and then after they cleaned it, they did the thing that you guys probably do when you clean your pool. They drove a motorcade around on top of it, and then I guess they got to clean it again. I don't know. They got the tire marks off or something. He did a press conference, and he talked about it. It might be the most boomer thing to do, to go out as the president of the United States and talk about how the pool was disgusting. So luckily they cleaned the pool. Also, we're fighting Iran again, and that's just a trifle. And we may or may not end their civilization, you crazy bastards. So just tuck in, because anything could happen. The good news is we're not going to do mass deportations. We're going to make sure that we just drop all of that talk. Newsmax is letting you know they're definitely not like cheerleaders for the regime. But Newsmax is letting you know that they're going to take a softer approach, but that doesn't mean they're going slower, but they're definitely going slower. But you're not supposed to notice that. So we'll talk about those things as well. What else we got? We'll talk a little bit about Kash Patel. We'll talk about the operation that saved 100, 200, 300 children. Is it really what it means? Is that really what's going on? Steve Friend's going to join me. We'll do Friendly Friday. We'll be sarcastic, and we'll just sort of laugh about it. The hit piece didn't go the way that they thought. I'm still here. I'm still surviving. And it turns out nobody cares when John Solomon or Just the News, which is almost like mainstream media, except without any of the credibility and without the boomer audience that you'd expect for like a Fox News, decides to say something mean about you. Let's do a read for our sponsor here. This is a good thing to remember. Patriot-protect.com/KYLE. Link in today's show description if you guys want to save yourself some heartache and some headache. Patriot Protect. What do? They find your personal information on hundreds of different websites that are listing all over the world, and they wipe it off the internet. And here's the reason why that matters more than ever. In this year alone, 72 million email addresses have been dumped in a hacking forum. It's a thing called the Conduit Breach. It exposed social security numbers and medical records for 25 million Americans. I'm pretty sure that my family was also in that, because I got letters from Blue Cross Blue Shield, who used to be our healthcare when I was in the federal government. Texas Attorney General said it's the worst data breach in U.S. history, and the year isn't even half over. We're still just in May right now. So this is way more about than hackers and data brokers selling your data, selling your location, maybe even your daily movements, your private life, and anyone willing to pay for it. In March, the FBI confirmed that they are buying the same data. Yeah, our friends, the ex-girlfriend, they're buying their same data, and they don't need a warrant because it's commercially available. If you guys don't want the FBI's spy and surveillance programs working on you, If it weren't bad enough, they're not just using it for themselves, they're also letting it get stolen. It's also been data breached. They've also had problems with things like FISA being cracked. They've had issues with their Title III wire services. If you want a system that does just monitoring and your credit and your identity gets stolen, fine. But if you want someone to go ahead and scrub a lot of this crap off the web, it is very easy to find you. I will tell you, my dad and I had a conversation yesterday where he said, you should reach out to this guy that I found with a cool house in Montana. He had a kneeler in his garage. And he's like, you should call that guy up and tell him it's cool. And I was like, yeah, I can't do that. Wait a minute. Yes, I can. Some of us have the skills. If you guys want to make it harder for people like me who know what I'm doing when it gets get on the web to hide your stuff, if you don't want me to find your toilet when you write me a nasty comment on YouTube because I'm petty like that, go to Patriot Protect. Patriot-protect.com/KYLE. Patriot-protect.com/Kyle. Don't be prey. Save yourself with just a few dollars up front, and don't get yourself on the list of people, whether they be just a vindictive podcast guy who may have a certain skill set, or maybe it'd be a scumbag who's trying to take your life savings. Get yourself safe and free. Protect your family the way we do. That's the same thing that we do here at the Seraphin household. Patriot-protect.com/KYLE. Let's do Steve Friendly Friday now. You know what, Steve Friend, I did not even, hold on, where's your music? You need music. Hold your breath.
Have it.
Oh, I've got it, dude. There it is. Steve, I didn't even size us because we started having the old school OG Seraphin show Friendly Friday problems just before we went live. And it's my favorite. What I like to do is I like to pull up things that we use every single week, scenes that I've already created, and then see, are they all gone? Yeah, they're all gone.
A tradition like no other is the Friendly Friday on the Provocateurs podcast. The alliterations have no end here. It's like the bombastic billionaires and the deep darkness of the desert from our mainstream media that loves to report on things that happened 4 years ago. So on brand for Con Inc.
I got a clip from Mike Feinberg. Do you remember him? Yeah, I think he was in Richmond. Is that right? He was like an ASAC in Richmond, assistant special agent in charge. I actually want to play this because I started getting hit up this morning by some reporters, and they were like, hey, we're hearing that a bunch of people at the FBI have been fired. Are you hearing the same thing? The fact of the matter is I am not hearing that same thing, but I do think it's a good way for us to work into it. And speaking of the alliteration, I've been kind of slowly attempting to do more and more New York Post style, I don't know, headlines or show titles. And one, they're not very easy to do. If that's the only thing you're doing in the morning, fine. But if you're trying to do other things and your brains are scattered, I'm really bad at it. And two, I don't think that they're effective when it comes to people looking at it and going like, oh, I definitely want to read about tiny tots saved by, whatever. Everything
if you're
alliterative.
of an intellectual level where you appreciate alliteration, you're probably not easily fooled enough to actually read the stories and be like, well, that's a complete psyop.
That's right.
So it's not meant for you.
Fair enough. Let's do Mike Feinberg since this is what came in before I got started today, and then we'll maybe address some of the fun things. Yesterday and the day before, fallout from Kash Patel's booze bottle custom engraving thing.
Wait. Can we start calling him my favorite thing now? It's FBI director, medium password strength. K.
Can you explain what that means?
He signs his autograph, capital K, $, capital H, $9. So I'm going to call him director, medium password strength because it's not quite long enough. It doesn't have any lowercase, but it does have special characters and capitalization and numbers. So FBI director, medium password strength, Kash Patel.
Will they even accept that in most of the password things?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's only 5 digits. Normally they're like in like 12 nowadays, right? So I mean, that's on brand for him. He's like less than half as good as a normal person. Good.
His name is FBI Director, medium password strength. So yeah, you saw that he was signing that. Did you ever get anything sports memorabilia? You're like more of a sports guy than I am, but I have signed things where players will sign their name and their number. Like Michael Irvin so this is how far back it goes, Steve. It goes back to the early 90s when the Cowboys dynasty with Jimmy Johnson was like crushing, and people were really proud to be Cowboys fans. And I lived in Dallas, so that was good. I have like a Michael Playmaker, because that wasn't even his name, Michael Irvin, Michael Playmaker 88. And I think a couple others signed with their names and their numbers.
That's what athletes do. Yeah, I've got some sports memorabilia. My older son is really into getting it right now. They sign the autograph, they put their number. I have Kash Patel's autograph, and he didn't put number 9. I'm a little insulted. I could have put it on eBay for, 58 cents? That would have been.
This is because he fired you when you weren't actually hired?
Yeah.
Cool.
The only FBI agent since the Hoover days, I believe, who was brought back without a gun or a security clearance. And yet had
totally real. It's totally
special agent with full credentials.
That's right. Okay. This guy was let go pretty recently. His name is Mike Feinberg. I cannot find, this is a great example of why it was really touch and go for me to work at the Bureau. And we went into this funny little bit yesterday. I ended up going on Viva Fry's podcast, and we were talking. He'd never seen the video of me speaking to the police officer in the desert that resulted in me sitting in this podcast chair. Like, changed my life forever. It was a 10-8 no report interaction for that cop. It did nothing for him ever. He probably doesn't know what happened. I mean, maybe he does now because it's been all over the internet. But it's kind of funny how tenuous my time at the Bureau would have been. I think you're a little bit more buttoned up as a human being. You're a little bit, and you're a little bit more raw now than you ever have been. And I think we've sort of peeled back the onion layer of the professional version of Steve Friend. We do it every Friendly Friday. But you're a little more of a Bureau type of guy than I was. I was probably always a little bit more spiky fitting into that mold. Is that a fair assessment?
I didn't have to get a haircut or shave in order to take my credentials picture. Like I always have this default setting. Yeah, I think that's probably an appropriate label.
Yeah, and I've slowly been turning you into a radical. And pretty like so just so people who are listening in the chat right now, if you guys don't realize this, in about 5 years, Steve Friend is going to have a ragged beard because he's going to realize that this is the FU to the
now. In 5 years, it'll be.
That's
ragged.
What I mean. Yeah, no, I need you to like stop shaving today and maybe Rogaine your face. But like in 5 years, you're going to have the beard. And you're going to have like some shaggier hair and you're going to have a shitty attitude about things that are appropriate. Like, it's not going to be like an inappropriate. I had this combo with my dad yesterday too. And it's like, I'm not just mean spirited. It's like, no, when it's justifiable and there is obviously there's no friendly way out of it, then I don't feel compelled to be friendly because I work for me. And, I think you're slowly going to work your way there. I'm going to predict 5 years from now, you'll be as salty as maybe when I left the Bureau, which is nothing like what the feral animal sitting in front of you today is.
Yeah, I'm approaching Uncle Ted levels in a decade. There we go.
Yeah, and in 10 years, you'll be living in a cabin in the Florida swamps, like, making sure that you have the right trigonometry to make your roof pleasant. And then you'll be building, like, I don't know, explosives potentially out of like an old pinball machine or something. Okay, so that being said, this guy that I'm about to show you, and this was a setup for this thing, there's a guy named Mike Feinberg. He's a former ASAC, which is a GS-15. It's the top of the FBI's pay scale for the regular GS before you become a senior executive. And listening to him, never knowing this man, I was like, oh yeah, I would have freaking hated working for this guy. I would have walked away from the meeting with that guy and be like, I hate that guy. I never want to see him again. If he comes to the office, I'm going to have diarrhea and be gone the whole time. That'll be it's like, sorry, I have diarrhea. I can't talk to the ASAC. I hated most of the ASACs that I met, with one exception. I had one ASAC that I worked with. When I saw him, I was trying to avoid him. You see like the guys in the suits coming through the office and you're like, this is not good. I got to be somewhere else.
Find a door somewhere to dive in.
I found a door and I went into the conference room, which was a mistake because there's no exit from the conference room. So there I am, and I'm in the conference room and I'm looking around and I go, oh no. And so then then like they turn the corner of the cubicles and I step out of the conference room and it's like, shit, they're like right there. They're 20 feet away from me, like staring down. It's me looking at John Nance in a suit, trying to butter up the new ASAC who's in a suit, and some other person that I've never seen before, unknown, in a suit. And I was like, crap, there's 3 men in suits in my office where we wear like plaid shirts. It's not going to be good. And they're like, sir, this is Kyle Seraphin. He's one of our agents on the squad, and he's doing some sort of administrative, like, Kyle, like, this is the new ASAC, like, Mr. whatever his name is. And I was like, oh. And so I look him dead in the eye, and I look about like this. I'm wearing a t-shirt probably, and a beard. And I was like, nice to meet you, sir. We're out of Milanos.
Like the cookie?
That's what he said. Yeah, he goes, like the cookie? And I was like, yes, sir. I was just in the conference room and I checked and we're completely out.
Oh.
And he looks at me and he goes, why would you tell me that? And I go, I don't know. I'm not really sure what your job is, sir. It was nice meeting you. And I turn and I try to walk away. And he's like, whoa, get back. Like, what the hell was that? And then he's like, did you just tell me that we're out of cookies? I was like, the whole box. They're totally empty, sir. I was in the conference room. There's none in there. I thought maybe you're responsible for that. And he busts out laughing. To his credit, it was the only ASAC. He was a SWAT guy that was out of Seattle. And he was like, what the hell's up with you? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I saw 3 guys in suits coming at me and I panicked, which is not true. Obviously, I was just being a goof. And he starts laughing. And yeah, then he shakes my hand and he's friendly and I leave. And I was like, yeah, I hope I never see that guy again. And he was okay. That was like the best ASAC I ever saw. That was the best interaction. I got to tell him we were out of cookies, which I do think is what they do. It's probably the most important thing. Even though they convince themselves they do something else, they have nothing to do with the investigations. They basically sign off on budgets that somebody else has already signed off on. Am I mistaken that?
Yeah, I mean, they have the different lanes to be in. Some of the ones that are really always stressed out are the personnel ASACs, the ones that are trying to move the chess pieces around because the FBI assumes that if you have a 98.6 degree temperature and 2 arms and 2 legs, like you could be assigned to anything at all times. Mm-hmm. So they'll be trying to allocate persons from one squad to another, and they have to hit the certain staffing level because people in Washington, D.C. tell them what the staffing level that they need in their particular area, because people in Washington, D.C., I guess, know better than the people that are in the
glazed
area
over. Your description of what they do made my mind just go like, like a sheet of ice. Like everything just slid right off me right there, which is exactly the way that I think of ASACs. I would say that many of them are people who emotionally wear a bow tie. This is a lot of government management. Like they're functionally useless. And in their mind, the way that they move through the space and time that you see them, like they're wearing a bow tie without wearing a bow tie. So I emotionally can recognize the bow tie on them. Consider that as you see Mike Feinberg, maybe the greatest example of someone who speaks like an asshole. When you hear him speak, you're like, I don't want to be friends with that guy. I don't want to work for that guy. I don't want to be in the same room as that guy. He sounds like a person that would be placed in my life as a punishment. Like I did something bad and God knows that I have to do penance by knowing this guy. By the way, our first ASAC that I had in my first squad, his name was Mark Levitt. I'm just going to say his name. His name was Mark Levitt. He had a single plaque that he put on his wall, which was said, "From the men of SEAL Team 8, with great appreciation." And he let people think that he was a SEAL, even though he was an intel officer for a SEAL team. So he wasn't a SEAL. And when he was around,
Corey Mills Valley.
Kind of Corey Mills thing. Yeah. And then when he was around, and we wanted to talk about him, but he was right there, we talked about Skeeter, which was the nickname that we created for him for no particular reason. And when people went to the restroom, they said, I'm going to go take a Levitt because they disliked him so much. Here is a man after that man's heart, this is the worst version of the FBI. This is the senior manager who aspires to be a worse human being by being an SESer.
I personally have a number of friends, more than I can count on two hands, who had to go through polygraphs because they were senior executives. Anytime an unflattering story about Kash Patel, or back then Dan Bongino, made its way into the press. And, you know, I want to highlight something Carol just said about how the workforce views Patel. It is difficult to fully articulate the depth of contempt every single special agent I know has for him. And that's probably what fueled the early leaks that have so embarrassed him, very in the sort of salad days of his tenure. But every time he goes high and right, like he did today, he just reinforces that stereotype and turns even more people against him. This is why you need people of a certain temperament, with a certain rhetoric, a certain level of maturity in the most senior government positions. And if you're the sort of FBI director who's not going to open an investigation when cabinet members talk about war plans over Signal to the Atlantic Monthly by accident, but you are going to open a leak investigation against the Atlantic Monthly because they allege you drink too much, I would humbly suggest that your priorities are a little out of order.
Cold reaction to that.
I hate how they make me agree with that douchebag.
Right? I hate that I agree with all the things that he said, and the way that he said it makes me want to headbutt him. He sounds like he's like a homosexual version of Jesse the Body Ventura for some reason. He over enunciates certain words that puts the pronunciation at the front of his face. I've never actually seen someone that I was like, the first time that I heard you, I despise you. That's like a male version of vocal reggae.
He clearly puts a lot of time into his appearance as well, which is also enormously off-putting for, you know, like guys like us who are increasingly more and more feral animals wearing non-restricted waistbands.
I maybe spent 20 seconds on hair and makeup today, which is no makeup, and like sort of doing this. And actually, as I walked out, I got a comment yesterday on on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify, thanks for listening there. And it was a negative comment about the status of my beard from a woman who I know has been following me on X for years and cheerleaded all we did until I said that I'm like not a huge fan of Israel because I just think it's really weird that people are trying to shove that down my throat. So she said my beard looks like dingleberries or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't flattering. And I was like, there's literally one woman in the world whose opinion about my beard I care about, and you're not her. And she doesn't care. So, and if she did, she still probably wouldn't say anything because she's my wife and she's good like that. Like she probably wouldn't even be worried. Like I'm trying to be more feral. I remember listening to, I think we had this conversation before, but I remember watching The Terminal List. Did you ever see that show?
Yeah.
Kind of my spirit animal, I think, like the James Reese kind of thing. And apparently he goes into war and he has a beard. He comes back, he's in garrison, he shaves. And then he slowly gets more and more radicalized. And as the show goes on, they actually did this as a plot device. Jack Carr talks about this. His beard got more and more representative of like an insurgent, the way that Reese was an insurgent as he began to fight against what he thought was corruption and the bad stuff going on. And so I have that same mentality. I'm like, I'm getting more and more insurgent-like. They ran a hit piece on me, Steve, yesterday, and I literally had a reporter from a pretty well-known publication in Washington, D.C. say, you're functionally a nobody. What a weird thing to waste energy on. And I said, I would agree with you in principle, but they wouldn't. They just told you that I'm not a nobody because they ran a freaking hit piece through John Solomon, the FBI director's mouthpiece.
They mobilized all of their contacts, which are pretty unimpressive, to get John Solomon, who has an audience of several dozen people, to report on something that is multiple years old that apparently wasn't a problem for him over the last few years, for him to reach out to you as a source all the time, to come on his show, to comment on his stories. But now he's going to take the messaging that he needs in order to push forward the propaganda so that he can maintain access. Yes. And then on top of that, he can argue the exact same points that the opposite side was making 4 years ago, that you're a self-styled whistleblower and
what does that mean?
Suspendable. I mean, this is so on brand for Con Inc. to report on about stuff that's multiple years old. It doesn't matter. About a guy who, if we lived in a functional society, would be a pissant influence, but apparently is punching well above your weight as a provocateur podcaster.
I am a provocateur podcaster. Yeah. And basically the secret plan that you probably didn't know when you got thrown out of the Bureau, and I actually didn't even know either when I got thrown out, was that I was going to turn this into a what is my old boss called? A basement level podcast where we sit here and we debunk a lot of the bullshit that comes out of our federal government. And this is one of the funny stories. This is why this is up right now. The FBI probing leaks into journalists. Again, if they are lies, then they can't be leaks. How does my logic stack up with that one, Steve Friend?
About on brand with the logic that John Solomon has, that I could threaten the life of the FBI director and you could attempt to murder an FBI agent, and neither one of us are in handcuffs or in a federal penitentiary.
Aren't threats that are communicated over wire or some sort of like internet means, isn't that a prosecutable offense, especially if you're targeting said FBI director? Isn't that a thing?
Only if it involves crustaceans on a sandy seashore.
Tell me more about that. Where's this case going? Because I heard from some folks, they're pretty excited about Jim Comey eventually facing justice. Are we just going to recycle the old things and see if we can make them new?
Let's just stay tuned.
Okay.
Next week, we promise you more. 6 to 8 months from now, then the justice is coming. You better lawyer up. Mike Davis said so. The allegation, I guess, is that we don't know everything that was shared in a grand jury, which is accurate because it's a secret proceeding. But somehow, James Comey posting a picture that necessitated an 11-month investigation by the FBI, the preeminent premier law enforcement agency for the country that receives $11 billion in fundings and hires 38,000 people. 11 months to investigate one Instagram post actually involved reading his romance novel or whatever it was.
It might take a while to read that, to be fair. I think it might take a while.
Yeah, I mean, they are government workers and they read it probably, 2.5 words per minute. So they apparently found out in the plot of the James Comey book that there were secret signals. Ergo, that was a threat because he was directing his people to read secret signals on Instagram, which again, you're so retarded that you wouldn't appreciate the alliterations of the New York Post if that's actually where you're at.
But we have a really sophisticated group of people that are protecting us from danger. Are they not?
Well, they're pulling pedophiles off the streets at record levels and saving the children all over the country, our children.
I am going to do your pedophile story shortly. I'm trying to find where I put this. Where's the... Okay, so do you remember the terror attack that happened in Austin?
I do.
There was a guy that went and shot up a bar.
It was handled not by the FBI, but by the Austin PD within 46 seconds.
Yeah, it was super short. Okay, so here's the story. This is coming from March 1st. I only say that because it was an update in the story, and the update came from the FBI, not the people who dealt with the problem. Austin 6th Street shooting. FBI probes terror attack or attack as terrorism after 3 killed, 14 injured. This was the guy that was wearing the Property of Allah shirt. He was a 53-year-old man named Nadiagag. Sorry. Nadiagag. Diagne.
Durga.
I mean, I knew a lot of Diagnes when I was growing up, so it's kind of hard for me to suss out which one it was. The FBI said he may have had ties to a terror group. There were 3 people killed, including the gunman. 14 other people were wounded. The mass shooting had happened on early Sunday morning at the end of February. Right? They confronted him within seconds, neutralized him. He was a naturalized citizen from Senegal, who also lived in Pflugerville, which is a funny named town that's just to the north and to the east of Austin, Texas. So that was the story. And then they just released the update on this, and now I got to go find the darn story again because I buried it in my headlines. Okay, there it is. Here's the update to start. You want to read that one?
No evidence Austin mass shooting suspect was associated with a foreign terrorist organization, FBI concludes.
Oh, good. So it was a March 1st shooting, and he was wearing a Property of Allah, but he just was like totally not a terrorist. So what I've come to realize, I think I posted this on social media this morning, my kind of thoughts. If the FBI catches you, probably in an FBI sting, but potentially not in an FBI sting, although I'm not aware of any examples of that. If the FBI catches you in an FBI sting, you're a terrorist, especially if you want to do bad things. But if they didn't have time to set you up with the proper terrorist organization through an undercover or through a confidential human source, then you're probably not a terrorist. It was just a random act of violence that it wasn't the FBI's fault.
The only add-on to that would be they don't need a confidential human source or an undercover in order to run a playbook on you if they can say that you're a member of 764, i.e. somebody who's like 21 years old and shit posts online and has child pornography.
Is that something that you sent me about this new operation?
No, that's actually all the time. It's what I'm going to discuss on AMRAD on Monday. The most recent version of it is like a 21-year-old with a 16-year-old online girlfriend who he said, send me nudes. So she did. And that makes him a 764 nihilistic violent extremist. So we had to have members of the Joint Terrorism Task Force arrest him for terrorism.
So he got hit with the terrorism because why? We needed it?
Well, according to the complaint affidavit, he was aware of 764, no further information.
That means if you're aware of something, that means that you're supportive of that thing. If you're not actively working against it, I get DMs and I get messages and I get posts on social media, and people are like, "Why are you trying to cover up 764?" I'm like, "Why do you believe in weird things?" I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that they're mostly kids and they're mostly not prosecutable in the federal system, and it's not where I spend my energy or time. Let's talk about what our director's doing right now. He's got Operation Iron Pursuit. Do you want to sum up this? This sounds like this was in your wheelhouse in your old job.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually, I had to reach out to some of my sources and my moles on the inside. This is going on multiple times a year.
They're about to get polygraphed. How dare you?
Dang it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, unlike Dan Bongino, I can pass one. So Operation Iron Pursuit is the most recent evolution here, where they're going out and telling the violent crimes against children, what are actually called child exploitation and human trafficking, because they changed the acronym. They need to update that to former co-deputy director Daniel Bongino.
Somebody got promoted with that acronym update.
They'll tell them, hey, you have a case working. Is it now at a point where you can get to an arrest? Hold off on it or speed it up, because we need all of these to coincide this week, so we can say it was a nationwide effort under this operation, whatever, insert the name, in this case, Operation Iron Pursuit. 56 field offices, resulting in, looks like, around 350 arrests in this given week, which, extrapolate that out, it would be like 6 arrests per field office, which is a slow month for a sheriff's office on child exploitation matters. But it sounds like a big number because Kash Patel, FBI director, medium password strength, loves the stats, and then also claims 200 children recovered. And that is National Center for Missing and Exploited Children identifying kids who are in historical child pornography that's been viewed hundreds, if not thousands or millions of times. They're actually able to identify Jane Doe as someone who's now a 35-year-old and by law has to be notified every single time that that particular brand of child pornography is found on someone's device because she's been re-victimized. And then because she gets called all the time because it's out there, millions of evolutions of it, she says, I just want to be taken off the list because this is being called to my house every day. But now we've recovered that juvenile.
I want to say that one more time because actually, as snarky as we get, and we are nothing if not snarky on this particular iteration on Friday mornings, this is a critical point of the absolute BS that our government is slinging at us. And it's all about branding, and it's all about like a number that looks really good. When I read this as let's say I'm a layperson, and I read the following from FBI Director Kash Patel saying, Operation Iron Pursuit, 200 plus child victims located and 350 subjects arrested, the highest number on a similar op in the last 14 months, which, by the way, he's been the FBI director for the last 14 months. So he had his best month, is what he's claiming. It's a 1 month nationwide child abuser takedown. All 56 field offices participated in our interagency partnership. Okay. Lives saved, allegedly. Families reunited. Violent criminals crush. America. Fire emoji. Everybody sees SWAT people. And we're all like, hell yeah. Okay. 200 children victims located, child victims located. That sounds like a good thing. And bad guys put in jail. And then you do the math. You grab your calculator real quick, but 350 divided across 56 field offices. What is it per field office? 6?
It's about 6.5 over a month. So 1 to 2 arrests per week on a violent crimes against children squad. Okay.
And those are going to be 8 to 12 agents, depending on the area. I know in Washington, D.C. it was something like 10-ish. And so maybe the smaller offices have 8. Does that sound about right? Maybe 6 or 8?
Yeah, if it's the headquarters, if it's a resident agency, it could be an individual. But headquarters squad would be, 6 to 8. Sounds fair.
So maybe 1 arrest per agent on each squad during a month that is specifically focused on taking down so they can up the numbers as high as they can. 1 arrest per agent working on that squad across the entire field office. Theoretically, the entire field office is, mobilizing to do a little more there. And then that 200 child victims located, in my mind, when I read it, I'm picturing 200 children, like the entire population of a decent size grade school, have been found, and they were in a basement somewhere, and some dirtbag was hurting them, and now we need people to be thrown into the wood chippers. And in reality, what you're saying is, in the 1980s, a woman who lived in Florida was sexually abused on camera on a VHS or like a Betamax or something with some old school crappy videography equipment and crappy lighting. And it doesn't take away from what happened to her, but then that was distributed across the dark web and the internet. And every time that it is discovered, they figured out that her name actually is Martha Robinson, and she is of Topeka, Kansas, and she's a grown woman and she's married and she's got problems she's dealing with. And her problems are compounded by the fact that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children hits her up every single time they find a new instance of that video in circulation.
Yes, and
now we've named her.
They're called series. They're known series because there's basically like famous episodes of child pornography, famous victims that are found all the time, to the point where the people who do the God's work at NCMEC will come up with pseudonyms for these child victims. They'll be like, "Oh, that's little Susie," because they recognize the child, they recognize the room, they get down to the nitty gritty. Oh, those are those bed sheets that we've seen before, because they're trying to connect the dots and do the actual investigations that the FBI just takes credit for.
Okay, so that happens. I'm going to ask you I don't always ask you this, but how do you know that, Steve? How do you know that those 200 child victims are not kids that are rounded up? Do you have like I guess there's 2 questions. Do you have a experiential component to that? And then also, is there maybe like an inference that's being made as well?
Well, I did work the violation. And when I got the on-the-job training, not from the FBI, I reached out to the actual investigators at the sheriff's office, who were extremely welcoming to me, gave me a workspace, gave me a laptop to review it, which the FBI would not provide or furnish me a laptop to view the child pornography. They were like, I don't know, we can't help you out. The sheriff's office, those individuals who do this sort of thing, they educated me on this sort of thing. They are the ones who gave me access to ICAC, which is connected to NCMEC, where you will have like a Facebook or a social media website that will identify through artificial intelligence or their own people, hey, this is potentially child pornography. We're going to refer it over to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Those people there look at it and say, oh yeah, that's little Susie.
Are they a government agency, Steve?
No.
Okay. I mean, like, are they funded by government? Is there like...
Yeah, there's a private-public partnership angle to it, and there's also a charitable angle to it as well.
Okay.
They will then take those images and all of the identifying IP addresses and subscriber information, everything they're able to glean from the social media company, put it into a dashboard, and then law enforcement can go into the dashboard and get notified when there's something in their area. And then you have basically a investigation that is essentially sewn up at this point for you to go forth and arrest your bad guy. You have to do a little bit of legwork, but not that much. The FBI wouldn't give me access to that dashboard. I had to crib and piggyback off the Volusia County Sheriff's Office and use their account so that I could go in there and find it because, you know, it just was the lowest priority for the federal government. But we're going to have Operation Iron Pursuit or Iron Justice, whatever the hell the FBI Director Medium Password Protection has for it nowadays. So they educated me on this one. And the last thing I'll say is the number to the 6.5 arrests for a given month. The Volusia County Sheriff's Office, they would periodically run one of these to catch a predator sort of thing where they get online and they trick these guys into coming to meet a kid. They had to stop doing it because their numbers were down into like the 13 to 15 range. And they're like, look, unless it's multiple dozens, it's kind of not worth our time. The FBI is more than happy to take those numbers, 6.5 for people. So let's just play the numbers game out here. A sheriff's office viewed double what the FBI field office was able to as not worth their time because their time is better spent doing other stuff.
I think it's really critical. It also, since I got a chance to go back to kind of the origin of why I'm sitting here yesterday, thanks to and courtesy of John Solomon, and I went on with Viva Frei and I showed him that video that resulted in my termination from the FBI, which is just me talking to a cop out in the desert. And everybody who sees it is like, there must be something else. It's like, yeah, obviously there's something else. I went to Congress and exposed that they were investigating parents at school boards and calling them terrorists. I showed that there was FISA 702 abuse. I was reporting on the fact that we had 100,000 Afghans that were wildly unvetted. There was a whole bunch of stuff that I brought to Congress. And then I told them I wouldn't do the clot shot. And I said, this is not happening. And then they were like, well, you just have to bend the knee and stick this thing up your nose. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that either. So I got kicked out of the office. And while I was out of the office, I had this conversation with a cop in the middle of the desert. He doesn't remember. So that was it. And so anyway, that's my origin story. I got to touch base with that yesterday. This is kind of your origin story because you were trying to do that work and you learned a couple things about why it's a low priority. And then it resulted in you not working at the FBI too. And so, maybe people don't know that about you. It's probably worth going. If you guys don't know, this is my friend, Steve Friend. We didn't know each other in the FBI. Hi, friend. And he got kicked out for basically holding on to, I have some principles that said I signed up to be an investigator. I mean, you want to tell people like your quick career again, just for those who haven't heard it? I think it's sometimes worth reminding people what you did and then why you're sitting here and why you don't still work for the FBI even after getting fake hired back.
So for 7 years, I worked Indian country, the other lowest priority in the FBI. So violent crimes occurring in Indian reservations.
How do you know it's the lowest priority, Steve? Hold on. I'm gonna pin you on that because I've said it and people get pissed. But why?
Because it's the lowest banded threat, according to Integrated Program Management. And for all intents and purposes, as long as they've got a tourniquet on that situation, they leave you alone entirely. There's no expectations. They say like, just don't bother us. They leave you alone, which is pretty awesome if you're actually interested in doing violent crime and just doing the job. But it is the lowest banded. You don't get any scrutiny. The funding for it is really low. So it's just sort of tossed aside. There's only like 150 agents that do it as well. For the volume of cases that you carry, 30, 40, 50 cases at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, you're encouraged to get out of that work. They will provide mechanisms through the safeguard system where you go and have some sort of a struggle cry session with an agent who's never worked the violation. And you tell them, I just can't handle it. And then they allow you out of it. They do that for both Indian country work and child pornography work because you're discouraged actively from doing those sorts of violations.
That is something that regular people have no concept of. So when we say this in a flippant way, like nobody cares about it in the Bureau, like you're actively told that nobody cares about it because It has the lowest amount of resources, the lowest amount of dollars, and it is looked at as a burden that if you carry that burden on behalf of the FBI for a period of time, like they will reward you with your office of choice move. They will get you out of that job because they think that it's too hard for FBI agents who are making $120,000, $150,000, $160,000 a year to carry out.
They truly do. I mean, at conversations with agents I was friendly with, good agents, they say, I can't comprehend how it is that you do that sort of work. And then you contrast it with the other agent that I work with a lot, who was kind of like our people as far as liking the work. Politically, 180 degrees different, like left of Bernie Sanders. But it doesn't matter when it comes to actually doing the work because the outcome isn't the issue.
Let me pin you on this too. If you had an opportunity to work the same kind of Indian reservation crimes with the same sort of autonomy that you had when you were working in the Midwest, and they were like, hey, we've got an Indian reservation, same kind of violence, same kind of, child abuse, same kind of rape and sexual exploitation, all the other kind of ugly things that go on, like drunken cousin abuse and all that. And you're in Florida. Are you going to work that for the rest of your time and never want to supervise? Is that something that you would have stuck with, you think?
100%. That was
to be fair, like most people don't want to do that work. And there's a very narrow group of people that really want to do a high volume. And I would put your arrest record as an FBI agent, like it's 100 times more than mine. Yeah, it's probably 100 times more than mine. It's probably actually 100 times
cases,
more.
So it's not.
It doesn't matter.
Apples, but
you get to put handcuffs on the guys. That was the job.
In 7 years is unheard of for most FBI agents. It's rookie numbers for a patrol cop. But to the guy I worked with, it was like a once a month conversation we would have. It would be on a Friday, federal Friday, where everybody had left except the two of us because we actually took our job seriously and we worked the time we were there. And he would meander on over to my desk at the very end of the day. And he would just say, they think they're getting one over on us and we're getting one over on them, aren't we? And I would just, yeah, man, I can't believe they pay us to do this job, which I think speaks to what the FBI's values really are. When you have a guy like myself who's willing to go do that work and excited to go do that work and is like, you're going to pay me how much to do it? Like, you sure? Like, I'll kind of like pay you because this is awesome. And they're like, yeah, well, we just don't want you in our midst. So did that 7 years, relocate to Florida to work child pornography, took that transfer with that understanding and expectation and I arrived and the boss, also a good dude, said, hey, I got to have you on the books as a child porn guy, but you don't have to work it. Just carry a couple cases and then you can go do other stuff. And I said, is it a righteous violation? Do you need somebody to do it? Well, yeah. I said, well, then give everybody in the office notice. I'll take every child pornography case they have and I will do it 100%. And he was doing backflips because nobody wants to work it. And he didn't really want to push you because he can't really force you to work it. So did that work. Went out, liaised with the local guys and said, hey, I'm available for tasking. If you need somebody on a search warrant, I'll go out there and help you search. I just need to learn how to do it. And did it for about a year and then was told that that violation, child exploitation, was not a priority anymore. All cases should be referred to local law enforcement and that I was to be reassigned to work domestic terrorism to focus on January 6th, which I did. Because you got to follow orders in a paramilitary structure. But there was so little work to do because all those cases were sewn up that at the same time I had a deal struck with my supervisor. Hey, can I kind of off the books or unofficially do the child pornography work at the same time? And they said that was fine, to the point where just before I was suspended, my boss told me, I'm going to push to have you moved off of Joint Terrorism Task Force back to child exploitation because that is an actual violation that needs to be worked. I disagree with the front office, with management. I think that you need to do that. We do not need you on a Joint Terrorism Task Force. And then shortly thereafter came forward because the Joint Terrorism Task Force in my office was going to arrest a January 6th who had said when they interviewed him the prior year, I'll cooperate with you. He was represented by an attorney and they decided to send a SWAT team to his house. And I said that presented an unnecessary risk to his safety, to our safety, and I wasn't comfortable doing it. And that was the day that they initiated a background check on my credit history and started to pull my security clearance and escort me out.
A lot of people call the so-called whistleblower thing. How many times did you get trained on what a whistleblower is and what your responsibilities are? Because it's not just like you may do this. I think it's a you must do this.
That's what the conversation I had with my ASACs, the two douchebag ASACs that I had in Jacksonville. This is my job. They said, your job is to just follow orders. And I said, no, sir. My job, part of that is to bring forward my reasonable concerns. So I'm doing my job.
Is it like,
But
hold on, did he sound like this?
I personally have a number of friends, more.
Yeah, more or less. I mean,
yeah, they all sound like that.
He was the one who said I should set an example for my children and just follow orders. And then when I gave his name to FBI Director Medium Password Strength, he told me that, quote, he's fucked, and then proceeded to just leave him at headquarters and promote him. So I got annual whistleblower training like you did, like everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
And I was removed, though, before they combined at the FBI the whistleblower training with the insider threat training, which was another whistleblower disclosure that we brought forward to John Solomon.
Okay, so that is also tied into the story that MSNBC or MS Now, I don't like calling them MS Now. That really irritates me. I wish they would have left it where it was. MS Now reporting the FBI is probing leaks into journalists. I'm so sick of this word probing. I know that's probably John Solomon's favorite. I'm sure he's a big fan of probes or whatever, but I hate that word. Solomon at Just the News has another story about it today about probes. Actually, I'll just click it here so you guys can see it. It's a probe. It's a probe into Senate Intel Democrats for leaks. Leaks are like a big deal, apparently, in this administration. They're super excited about it. So anyway, they're going to probe somebody about leaks and so on. But the thing is that it's done by insider threat. Insider threat used to be looking for Robert Hansen. Like, yes. They're literally still looking for whoever fits the profile of Robert Hansen. They're like, oh, do you have marital infidelity? Do you have financial issues? Were you an academic cheat?
And if they find it, they find a way for you to leave work and not actually prosecute.
Yeah, unless you accidentally get caught with like a couple $100,000 in a McDonald's bag, and then you end up in prison for a couple of days. Then yeah, they want to try to cover that part up. But they're like actively looking for this. Insider threat was turned, and I talked to Kurt Susdak about this, FBI whistleblower attorney, retired FBI agent, and when Kurt and I were talking about it the other day, he goes, Seraphin, you and by extension, friend, you as well. We were at the forefront of them taking that tool and turning it from the theoretically honorable mission of looking for spies and traitors in the midst of people who hold top secret clearances, and they've been like, how can we use this to protect the FBI from people who are not insider threats to the nation's security, but we're looking for insiders who are threats to the FBI's reputation. And I actually got into it with Susan Crabtree yesterday. We had a couple of back and forths on social media. And the basic story was she's also doing some pretty groundbreaking reporting about the Secret Service and a lot of the screw ups that happen in that agency, which is not our focus, generally speaking. And I said, the same thing. It's the same, prime directive for every single governmental agency. And if the mission of the agency comes in conflict with, let's say, the Constitution, then they will, try to defer to the right thing. But if any of these things come in conflict with protect the brand of our agency, brand of the agency is number one priority for every, at least federal law enforcement that I've seen. The shine of the badge is far more important. And so you threaten that, I think. I mean, you told them they weren't supposed to use SWAT when they were totally going to use SWAT for political purposes.
Mm-hmm. And look, it goes to, is it illegal? No. SWAT's a perfectly legal, legitimate law enforcement tool. Is it correct? Is it immoral? Is it unethical? Those are all the considerations. But that's why all these insinuations that, justice is coming, we're going to charge all these people. What they did wasn't illegal. It is not illegal to send a SWAT team to go arrest somebody. You're just supposed to be vetted as having bravery and integrity, and saying that's probably an abuse of power. We probably shouldn't make the process the punishment. But they did. They did. And I was told when I said, look, I swore an oath to the Constitution, not the agency. They said, you have a duty to follow orders. The agency comes before that. Look, the FBI brags all the time about how they've corrected their FISA abuses. They're only doing it several 100,000 times a year at this point. That's several 100,000 times that they have violated the constitutional rights of American citizens. And they're saying that that's good, because the Constitution is not the prime directive, it's the agency, and they think that that makes the agency look better than it was, so their image is what their actual idol is at that point.
Steve, I'm going to pull up a clip here that I think is particularly salient to that topic, and this is maybe why I'm as frustrated as anybody, and I'm maybe more frustrated than most about this administration and the way that they're carrying out business. and I'm going to outsource it to somebody who I respect, and some people will or not. He's in a very tight race, and $10 million of external money from outside of his state was spent on that race for a safe Republican seat. We're talking about Congressman Tom Massey, who, guys, full disclosure, like if you were going to pick my favorite congressman, he's got to be up there in the top 2. I can't think of anybody else I like better off the top of my head. And he also, like, he's smart, he's principled. You may not like that he's not like doing what MAGA said, but he had the same expectations I think you and I did, which, call us naive. I was pretty amped up that Trump was the option as the alternative to Kamala Harris, which is what I expected. I expected an installation and not a, we get our guy. Did he live up to it for you?
No, I mean, I think that the transactional vote that I engaged in 2024 was basically for Steve Baker, and everything else was going to be icing on the cake. I hope to get a little bit of icing, or maybe a little bit of cake, particularly when it comes to issues where the current president is the most famous example of being a victim of weaponized government. You would think it would be high on his personal list. Is all the accusations that Trump is using the mechanisms of the government to go after his enemies? That seems like it should be the way that he would abuse it, to go after the people that went after him, and yet we don't. We have him going out there with weird capitalization saying, like, I'm so magnanimous and I'm willing to give up my privacy rights and yours. Let's go forth and allow the government to spy on you.
Okay, so clip on that. But all of that, I think you and I come from the same focus, which is why we're never going to sit well with these people, which is why, we were occasionally useful to them. Remember, they touted you as a hero, brave FBI whistleblower, principled man, patriot. Everybody had you on. They all said the same crap. It's Seb Gorka said it. Dinesh D'Souza said it. Dan Bongino said it. Who else were like big supporters that were like really public about it and have big names in them?
That are currently in the administration? I mean, I think you could probably go to a cabinet member, Russ Vought. Okay. Kash Patel obviously said it, invited you to be one of the co-hosts for his release of his movie. So anyway, like people were really on board as long as they thought that we were oppositional to the alternative, which we were, but they didn't realize that we're still oppositional to all the things that they are using. I didn't say turn the gun on your enemies. What I said was, this gun is dangerous. I hope nobody uses it again. Can you please take the firing pin out of the damn thing so you stop pointing it? And what's crazy is the same folks that are pissed off that Roger Stone had a leaked arrest and CNN was there in the morning, right? They're cheering on that Fox News was there first thing when you have a Democratic congresswoman being arrested in Virginia, in Portsmouth. It's like, it's not supposed to be like, you did it to us, so now we're going to make you pay for it too. It's like, we're not going to allow this animal to exist anymore. Like, we have to terminate that thing. Apparently, Tom Massey is also equally naive. So that makes me feel a little bit better because he works in Congress and he should know better. This is Tom Massey on Tucker Carlson's show, which I think is a pretty good watch. And he's making the point of his expectations. So I feel less dumb.
When I endorsed him, I thought we wouldn't have a new war. I thought we would get warrants for FISA that they had used to spy on him. I thought that Maha would be front and center at the HHS with Bobby Kennedy there. I thought that we would have sane foreign policy. I thought that where we put America first, that's my definition of sane. I thought we would end our involvement in the war in Ukraine. I thought we would release all the Epstein files and indict some of those SOBs. And those are all the things I'm still fighting for.
What an asshole, huh?
Yeah. And then when you look at his actual voting record, the Republican Party is spending like $10 million to get a guy, to vote in line 1% more of the time with MAGA.
Yeah. Shame on him, because I also believe that stuff. I thought that, like, I didn't say we were going to get all of it. I definitely said if we got like 30 or 40% of it, then it would be, it'd be a good start. This is Donald Trump saying that Iran gave us a love tap as they were sending attacks on our Navy, which is in the Strait of Hormuz, because we picked a fight that was unnecessary. And per the Secretary of State and the Speaker of the House and the President of the United States and the State Department's actual official website lets us know that they did it as a pre-defense of Israel, which is a really weird thing to make an argument. As he said, America first foreign policy. It's just hard to listen to that and just go, oh, yeah, we got conned. We really did.
Well, we've always been at war with Iran. It's
So
been
I hear, man.
47 years, right?
I think so. This is the Fox News. So I rarely go to Fox News because I just don't need to hear what regime puppets are saying. But here they are. Donald Trump said forces carried out a love tap, a retaliatory strike on Iranian targets. The Iranians didn't see it that way, by the way. They're ready to break the ceasefire and they're done with this. They're going to come back to it because they're actually totally cool with being at war with us at this point. Like, they don't seem to worry. CENTCOM said it was an act of self-defense after Iranian forces launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats at the U.S. Navy's guided missile destroyers, the USS Truxtun and the Rafael Peralta, really? And then the USS Mason in the Strait of Hormuz, between that and the Gulf of Oman. And then Donald Trump went and checked out the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, which they emptied, and he said our firepower is a hell of a lot stronger than theirs. And he was also really happy that the pool is clean, which does seem kind of, should we do the pool is clean thing? Have you seen this?
No.
Donald Trump, this is like maybe the most boomer thing in the world. You're like talking about something else. They're like, did you see how dirty the pool was? Like, we got a pool guy in there and we cleaned the hell out of that pool. And we're like, sir, this is bankruptcy court. And he was like, my pool was so filthy and there was so much scum. You wouldn't even notice. You don't even know about dirty pools, but I hate dirty pools. I have standards. Here's my dirty pool problem.
Yes, sir. That's good. You got a good looking crew back there, fellas, huh? Yep. Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, you are here against the backdrop of the war in Iran. Why focus on all these projects right now?
You know
still
why?
seeing gas
Because I
prices
want to
soar.
keep our country beautiful and safe. Beautiful also. This place was a disgusting place. It was Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and we had a terrible disgust. I don't know. You probably don't see dirt.
You don't see dirt.
And you walk down this pond. If you would have walked down, they'll tell you better than anybody. They had to take 11 or 12 truckloads of garbage out of that lake, out of that water, and it sat there for years like that. And that's not what our country is about. Our country is about beauty, cleanliness, safety, great people, not a filthy capital.
What is the status?
It's such a stupid question you ask. We're fixing up the reflecting pond to the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, and you say, why are you fixing it up? Because you can understand dirt maybe better than I can, but I don't allow it. This is one of the worst reporters. She's with ABC Fake News, and she's a horror show. She's saying, why would you bother fixing this up? Why would I bother taking 11 or 12 truckloads of filth out of the water in front of the Lincoln Monument? That's what made our country great. Beauty made our country. People made our country great. A question like that is a disgrace to our country. Any other questions?
Just watching him crash out about a question about like, hey man, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Like there's like 20 million illegals here. You've decided that you're going to restart or end or start or restart or tell people that the thing is over. Gas prices are going up again. No, they're not. Why are you here at this pool? He's like, you're a piece of shit. Like, how dare you? There were diapers in the pool. Someone had to clean. You don't care about a dirty pool because you're a dirty bitch. And he's just like going off. Like, what timeline are we on, dude?
The Secretary of Homeland Security, Markway Mullins, is in the background.
We're about to talk about him.
He goes on this diatribe about how cleaning up a reflecting pool is how we fix our country. Meanwhile, that guy's in charge of the $300 billion agency that is effectively waving the surrender flag on deporting illegal aliens to the country.
He's seriously standing there nodding along, and he's like, listen, I'm here from Oklahoma, and we don't like dirty pools either. And this lady is dirty, and we're not going to do deportations. We're probably going to need to do some amnesty because if you guys probably recognize a lot of people who clean pools, you see here the people that clean the pools, they are in fact not legally here. But the things they're doing, they're the good illegals, so we're going to be nice about them. Newsmax has a cheer piece here. By the way, Newsmax is the most busy, and I don't even want to put it through like a filter. It is the busiest, most insane, like red, white, blue, advertisements, garbage, buy this stamp. It's the crappiest website. It's better laid out than Just the News, which is the worst website. Yes. Every time I go to it, like Just the News is like, hey, I have an advertisement and it covers the thing that you're looking at. It's like, hey, can you see the paper behind? No, you can't. But Newsmax, Mark Wayne Mullen to Newsmax, DHS is not slowing down deportation. They're just slowing down deportation. We're focusing on all illegals without question, but really we're going to focus on different illegals. The ones that clean the pools are okay to us. And so that's good to know. I'm telling you, we are seconds away from hearing the Trump administration talk about amnesty. Seconds.
Yes, that will happen
it.
after the midterms.
I've got a, well, shoot, it might even happen before because I'm not sure they care. Here's Tom Homan, who was in the Obama administration and did work. And people are like, Tom Homan's great. Like, Tom Homan's good at keeping a job. That's what it seems like to me. And I don't have any beef with the guy. I just think that he's saying all the things that make me very uncomfortable about getting rid of the 20, 30, 40 million. We're going to argue about numbers. Let's do that real quick.
How many do we need deportations, Tom? How many we need to set this country's population back to where it's actually a country of legal citizens?
Millions. Look, they keep using the term, there's, I see it all the time, 12 million illegal aliens in the country. We used 12 million 25 years ago. I think it's well over 20 million. So, we're going to do everything we can to arrest as many people we can. And that's for the president, priorities of public safety threat, of course, because they're the biggest danger to the community. But anybody in this country is here illegally. We're looking for them. We're going to arrest them and deport.
It said mass deportations are coming. So lawyer up, TikTok, justice en route. Mass deportations coming our way.
The definition for Will Kane's question. Will Kane's question, how many illegal aliens do we need to remove in order to have all law-abiding legal people? The only answer to that is all of them.
All of them. I heard you say it. So did the audience in the background. Tom Homan was like, he's just biting his tongue because I can almost guarantee, based on the previous interviews I've seen, actually, I've got another clip of it. You want to see it? He basically admits that we don't want to talk about that. I have this clip called Homan Amnesty Incoming. Ready? Watch. Here we go.
Would you support a compromise, sir, that involves giving legal status to the millions of people who are here illegally but are otherwise law-abiding, including dreamers?
I'm not going to get ahead of the president on that. That's president. I work for the president.
Translate that for me, Steve Friend.
The president's already mentioned that and told me not to say anything.
Okay.
So, that's...
But something has to be done to address that population. Or is the solution to deport them all?
Yes.
I'm not going to get ahead of the president. That's, the president's talking to various members of his cabinet.
Translate.
He's talking to members of his cabinet about the timing of that they're going to announce how they're going to grant amnesty.
Got it.
There's discussions going on. I'm involved with some and not others, but I'm not going to get ahead of the president on this.
18 people have died in ICE custody.
That's not funny, but that's just such a great hard cut. Let's talk about people. It's like he knows he can't say what's being done. He doesn't look like he's like super happy about it. Like, imagine if I told you, it's like, Steve, listen, all those things I promised you, they are not only coming, but they are coming right now. You can't let on, but you can smile about it when they ask the question, because we're about to dominate these people. Like, we've got the goods. And it's coming your way. And so someone's like, what do you say to people who say that you're not going to be able to capitalize on the things you think? And it's like, yeah, well, hold on to your horses, baby girl, because it's coming. And then or you could say mass deportations are coming, but there's discussions being done. I'm not going to get ahead of the president of it.
Or he could do what he did in the very early days, where he would counter there's been 18 people who have died in ICE custody. Yeah, they killed themselves, so shut it. But he would say, well, let's talk about the most recent example of an illegal alien drunk driving and killing a newlywed couple, or somebody coming out of the woods in Texas and biting the face of a 3-year-old toddler on a playground. Also a true story. Those narratives have to be countered, and Tom Homan did a really good, effective job of that originally when he was like of the belief, I believe, like Tom Massey, hey, we're actually going to go do this thing.
I think you're right.
And then a year later, they said, hey, go to Minneapolis, pretend it's Dunkirk, pull all the resources off the little sliver of beach, and declare victory.
Messaging. This is coming from Fox. This is not a good sign. Do you want to read that headline?
Round one?
Dude, how is this a freaking headline? Now we're 68 days or something into this conflict with Iran. This is Fox News, who cheers on like the MAGA messaging narrative. For those of you who are already reading it, because you can see it on the screen, like you might be chuckling already. Steve, read this thing.
Round one of Iran fight went to the U.S. military, but ending things is much harder. So the days, weeks, not months is not going to be a thing anymore. And we're out of the short-term pain for long-term gain. We're very healthily into the middle-term pain at this point.
I don't know, because I already heard we won. About 20 times I heard we won.
And we could leave right now. It would be a great victory, but we're not leaving for reasons.
Why are we not leaving? And why was it round one? I thought here, listen, when Donald Trump is done with Iran, he's just going to genocide the entire country. He's going to glass it. Which sounds like a nuclear threat to me. He's going to end an entire civilization, we heard a couple times. And then he was like, open the strait, you crazy bastard. Praise be to Allah, which I understand that's like Donald Trump humor. It's just not funny because it's President of the United States. Here's the question. Are we doing okay out there? Are we done with round one? What happens next? And he was like, we're going to turn them into a freaking glowing dot.
President, after these strikes, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Yeah, it is. They trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran. And they better sign their agreement fast.
Yes, could you give us an update on what is the latest in those talks?
No, the talks are going very well, but they have to understand, if it doesn't get signed, they're going to have a lot of pain. They're going to have a lot of pain. They want to sign it. I will tell you. They want to sign it a lot more than I do.
What was it?
What's he talking about, man?
He says that they want to sign the agreement more than he does, which would imply that Donald Trump wants to engage in forever wars. And he's doing the Yosemite Sam with Bugs Bunny, where he's like, I bet you're not going to cross this line. And then he does. And then I bet you're not going to cross this line. And then he winds up backing up himself off of a cliff. It's effectively what he did through rhetoric there. And Donald Trump's never been the best off the cuff speaker. I mean, he's funny, but he's rather inartful with this sort of thing. But I think we're very much crested over the end of this, the top of the hill here on the roller coaster, and we're firmly on the descent into madness.
Let me ask you a question. Are gas prices where you are up or down?
Up.
Have you looked today, jerk?
They asked us not to do it during the negotiation.
Are you considering maybe going back to that now that gas prices are more than $4.50?
Well, no, gas prices have come down today. Have you looked? They've come down very substantially today. The gas prices, you know what's happened today? Gas prices are way down, and the stock market is way up today. So gas prices have come down, and I saw today that they broke negatively. In other words, to our positive position, they broke our way very substantially. And when the war is over, gas will fall down at levels that you've never seen before. You'll be down to where you were, maybe even lower. We had it down to, I was in Iowa, and we were at 85. We were about 85. What did you say? Yeah, we broke it. We broke it. We had numbers that nobody's seen in a long time. So
85 what? Can you help me with that? 85 cents? What was 85? And then the guy's like, yeah, it was like under 2. And he was like, levels no one has seen. Just making shit up. Just saying random things, just words falling out of my hole.
You had $2 a gallon. We were down, I think, to $1.85, $1.90 in Iowa and a lot of other places. Outside of California, where California charges such a high tax on the gasoline, when you take that tax off. But California has a tremendous, I don't know if anybody knows, California.
What?
He's stream of consciousness at this point.
Just flinging it out there.
We were watching.
Are you just saying things that you see in the room that you're saying you love? You love Lamp?
Yes.
Donald, do you love Lamp?
It's like Anchorman. We were watching the movie The Rookie the other day as a family, which is about Jim Morrison, who was a pitcher. He was a teacher who became a pitcher then in the major leagues. Okay. And that movie is from the early 2000s, and they drive at one point by a gas station, and gas was for $1.19.
Dude, I remember filling up with sub $1 gasoline when I was in high school. I mean, that was common, you know, and not to like throw it back, but like apparently you used to be able to put like $1.50 down and fill your whole tank. So that just tells you the fuel still has the same value.
Yes, and the stock market's never been higher. So two things, I guess, all the Epstein
just told me
clients
that
are fine.
You told me that
all the
money
dollars in the
is
stock
worthless.
market are useless.
Yeah, the money is worthless, so it's buying less, and so the valuation on the stock market is super high. It's so gross. It's so weird. I like Sean Duffy. I don't know what he's doing here.
So yeah, we've seen increase in fuel prices, but we also know that we're going to actually see a significant drop once the Strait opens. And the reason that America is performing differently than the rest of the world is because of the focus on American energy. And again, we're a net export. We have energy, we have plenty of energy, and we're sending it to the rest of the world.
Dude, we got plenty of energy, so I don't even know what you're complaining about.
Yeah. We have this tremendous supply of energy that necessitates us tapping into the strategic petroleum reserves in order to bring the price down by significantly. People are saying like what, 2 cents for a couple of days.
This is so demoralizing, Steve. You're demoralizing me with this stuff. Why do you keep playing all these
black
clips?
pilled panicking.
You probably don't even know what dirt is, dude. Now that I think about it, you don't even probably notice dirt. You're probably an expert on dirt, but in reality, you don't even know what the dirt is about. Round one went to the U.S. military, but the next one's going to be a lot harder to deal with. Yeah. How about some wins? I'm tired of winning so much. So we won on the tariffs. Trade court says that the Trump 10% tariffs are unlawful. The international, whatever the hell this thing is, Court of International Trade. Is that an American court? Federal court concluded Donald Trump's trade tariffs global 10% unlawful. 2-1 decision. Panel of judges in the Court of International Trade concluded they misread the law when they used to justify the sweeping tariffs. I heard it was 3D chess, that they set up the first tariff so they could be unlawful, so the second tariffs would really get them.
Mm-hmm. And
the ruling
my
works
wife's
the second time.
been dealing with this because she works in the fertilizer industry, and they're applying for their tariff refunds.
Right.
So let me just get this straight. The United States government put on some tariffs, which brought the prices up, which those prices were passed on to the consumers. So we paid more as the consumer. At the very end of the line, we paid more.
For everything.
And then the companies that took the money, the extra money from us to offset their costs due to the tariffs, they get the refunds?
Right. So they can bring the prices down. We could do the whatever Anakin Skywalker and Natalie Portman thing, right? So they can bring the prices down. No. The immediate impact of Thursday's ruling is unclear. The court granted an injunction for 2 small businesses and the state of Washington. However, the judge dismissed the claims brought by the larger group of states because they also lack standing. Dispute boiled down to the definition of the phrase balance of deficit payments. That's how I like to worry about things being done. I want to make sure that the balance of deficit payments from Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974 means the same thing as trade deficit. And so there you have it. That's a win. How about this win? Doge termination, grant terminations, unlawful and troubling. Yet another judge helping us out. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency blatantly used race, gender, and other protected characteristics to execute largest mass termination of federal grants in the history of the National Endowments for Humanity. A judge said, the communists always protect the communists. It's almost like why they got them into that spot in the first place. What do you think?
Yeah. So I believe the Doge went through and said you hired these people based on immutable characteristics, like the color of their skin, what they got dangling between their legs, or who they like to have sex with. So that's a problem. It needs to be a merit-based system. And then the counter to that from this court is, well, you fired them for the exact same reason, so now you have to bring them back, which is nonsensical. But that's why district judges are the most important and most powerful people in the country. And again, lends credence to my theory that Donald Trump should resign the presidency, have President Vance appoint him to be a district court judge, and he would then be forever the dictator that everybody apparently in MAGA wants him to be.
U.S. District Court Judge Colleen McMahon. Give me a number of 1 to 10 on your shock that it's a female judge who made this call.
6.66.
6.66, Roger. Okay. Declared the terminations unlawful, concluded that Doge staffers lack the authority to make those decisions, and blocked the Trump administration from carrying out the grant terminations. There can be no serious dispute that the review process implemented by Doge did not conform or even resemble the NEH ordinary grant review process. I'm pretty confident that was the entire point of what people were electing. They were tired of the ordinary grant review process. Am I mistaken in what I understand what we were being promised?
No, I think you're accurate. I think that those were documented and some promises that were made to the American people, but I don't know. Stuff gets scrubbed off the internet all the time.
ABC News previously reported the depositions at the center of the case where 2 former Doge staffers described using ChatGPT and DEI keywords to carry out massive cuts. The judge rebuked their actions, finding that Doge blatantly used protected characteristics as criteria for grant termination.
These guys were bros, okay? I've read the transcripts. They essentially said that we were assigned, like the 2 of us, to go through all of the grants, which would just not be possible to do in the allotted time.
Yeah.
So we did keyword searches, and if anything popped, then we read it because we actually read through it. It wasn't just like, oh, keyword said diversity, so cut that entire thing. We just use it as a prompt to be more efficient because the last letter of Doge is efficiency. And then we actually read through things and found out, yeah, in fact, it was based on mutable characteristics, which is illegal, so we got rid of it. But that's a problem.
Yeah, that checks. Okay, how about this is actually a nominal win. Tennessee passed a new congressional district. They split up the state's only black majority district. Nominal win in so much as Republicans will now be able to get all the seats in the congressional map. But there is a humor line to this for me. As protesters accused them of racial gerrymandering, Tennessee state lawmakers passed into law on Thursday a new congressional map that would allow Republicans to flip the state's lone Democratic-held seat and majority black district, notching a GOP win in a mid-decade redistricting scramble. Bill signed into law by Bill Lee, the Tennessee governor. The session was interrupted by chaotic scenes as lawmakers shouted over protesters' voice. And at one point, the police were forced to close the balcony above the House floor before voting on a new map. Here's the thing that makes me laugh the most. The new map breaks up the state's current 9th congressional district, which is primarily made up of Memphis, and the state's only majority black district. It is currently represented by Democratic Representative Steve Cohen. Do you know Steve Cohen?
I'm guessing he's not
black
that
as
tan.
shit, doesn't he? I mean, Steve Cohen is probably the blackest blacker. Oh shit, it's that guy. They're pissed.
Which, like, on a serious note, I think
hold
kind
on,
of contradicts
Steve.
all of this is that the black people in that district didn't vote for people based on their color. Which
No. They voted for the only Jewish guy that lives in Tennessee that was like, you know what? I live in Memphis and I should represent the only majority black district. I am a guy. I'm an aging Jewish man. He's like 76 years old, and I sport and rock a skullet. You know what a skullet is?
Yes, it's the inverse.
It's like
of
a mullet, but you have a bald head on the top. So he's rolling a skullet where he's got the sort of like, what are these things called? It's like almost a friar tuck.
It's a friar tuck. Yes.
It's not a friar tuck though. Friar tuck is intentional, where you actually shave it. This is God's
unintentional
gift.
Friar. This is God's plan.
This is God's plan that says you can't have a mullet. You're not mullet material. You've got a skullet. There's no party. There's no business in the front. You're just completely devoid of business. It's all party in the back. What a freaking goofy moment where this is what the Democrats are protesting and pissed off about. By the way, they've been talking about this guy for years and trying to get rid of him. They were like, how do we get this guy, this white Jewish dude, to not represent this district? And he's like, F you, I'm still running. And he keeps winning because everything is totally fair. But yes, kudos to the black people of Memphis for not seeing race when they go out and pull the trigger for this Jewish white guy with a skullet. Good for them. Dude, I just can't look at the news cycle and take any of these things seriously because you read the story and it sounds like a real serious story. Look, there's a serious scene here. They had to clear the balcony. Angry fat white ladies were out there telling people what was going on. Cool troopers with like super trooper mustaches and hats. I don't know if you're supposed to wear your hat indoors. Here, hold on. Let me put this back on the screen. Are you supposed to wear your hat indoors when you're a trooper?
I don't know what the Tennessee policy is on that, but I know from the Georgia State Patrol, I mean, they were wearing those campaign covers.
They look like
they're
rocking like the drill sergeant smoky hats, and they're like telling these like elderly white ladies and chubby women who are wearing sunglasses indoors, whatever.
People who have never felt consequences for being an a-hole.
Yeah, the new map breaks up the state's current only majority black district represented by Democratic Representative Steve Cohen. And then I just bust out laughing. Like I can't. What are we doing? It's so stupid. Here, let me put him on the screen again. That guy. And yes, he did a famous thing where he ate Kentucky Fried Chicken and he was like chomping into it in a hearing. It's so stupid. I like that our audience is learning the word skullet for the first time. Some of you have never heard that term. That's a real thing.
Every time you say skullet, I always think of, the equivalent of the tramp stamp for a man?
Oh, what is it called?
A stag tag.
Bro, I knew a pararescueman who left the career field and came back as a civilian instructor who had one, and it was the gayest thing you've ever seen in your life. His stag tag was a dolphin jumping on the top of the water and a dolphin chasing it on the bottom of the water. And I swear to God, I was like, that's got to be like a man-up challenge. That was a joke. Like, that must be like, no, he had it for the whole time I went through PJ and Doc. I was like, that can't be real. How did a grown man get freaking dolphins tattooed above his crack?
Maybe they were kamikaze dolphins.
Dude.
Kamikaze dolphins.
Yeah, good job, Steve. I can't take this seriously. How do we live here? How is this year? How about this one? You want to cheer for socialism? I like it too. What's that say?
Ted Cruz, quote, Trump accounts are personal social security accounts. Oh, lovely. This is going to be not just socialism, but fascism, combining both elements, a tradition like no other during the Epstein administration. So we're going to take money from people, each according to his ability, each according to his needs. We'll take it from some, give it to others, and then that money will then be invested into the stock market, which is owned by 7 mega companies, the uber rich, to drive up their share prices so that Donald Trump can get out there and say the stock market's never been higher and we should clean up the Lincoln Memorial. So we're redistributing wealth from the middle class to the lower class, and then that gets flowed to the upper class. Fascism plus socialism equals Epstein administration.
Okay, so you haven't read this article, but allow me to just kind of give you a little bit of an update. That's Ted Cruz, Republican, Tel Aviv. And Teddy says the following: the Trump accounts are 401ks for babies. Are you anti-baby, Steve, friend? I think that's what you're saying from what I heard. Tell me otherwise.
That's what America heard. No, I am very much in favor of giving money to the babies that I want to, because that's kind of memorialized in our pesky documents where we have life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And it doesn't say anything in the back of the Declaration of Independence in the invisible ink in the good and plenty clause that says that the United States government can steal, tax money from me, or print it whole cloth out of thin air, essentially causing inflation, which is yet another tax on me, so that it can go to somebody else who has a major case of the feels for, and then that money can then flow back to their buddies who donate to their campaigns. And again, we're going to squeeze the middle class. So
let's get real here, though. This is a very conservative position because Ted Cruz said it is. Quote, conservatives in America for 50 years have been, we've been doing it for almost as long, like slightly longer than we've been at war with Iran for. Conservatives in America since the beginning of the Iran war. I shouldn't crack myself up. That's so stupid. Have been trying to do Social Security personal accounts, he said to a panel on Monday, referring to a policy proposed by former President George W. Bush, who everybody loves, instead of paying a payroll tax that people could invest money in stocks. Here's the dirty little secret. Trump accounts are Social Security personal accounts for children that we give money to.
Mm-hmm. And we do matching for as well.
Why are we funding this? What is it going to do? How did we get this done? He asked himself. Then he answered, because we gave money to babies.
Did the Zootopia and
Hold on, dude.
A question?
He did the Zootopia. If you listen, guys, if you've never seen the movie Zootopia, the trick to doing a press conference and being successful is when somebody asks you a question, ask your own question, then answer your own question. It's way better. How did we get this done this time? Because we gave money to babies so that old people didn't get pissed. But you know what? Babies grow up. Mm-hmm. I need your help. Translate. Help me. What did he just say? We gave the money to babies so the old people didn't get pissed, but you know what? Babies grow up. Translation, Steve Friend. Help me. Translate.
Well, babies grow up. They will then thank me, Ted Cruz, for being so magnanimous to having stolen, tax money from others, and then take that said money and contribute it to my campaign coffers for reelect me, because I'm endeavoring to be the next Chuck Grassley, who remains in office until I'm 98,000 years old.
This seems like a problem. You want to know actually some good news? This is the upshot from New York Times. I have some good news. And then I'm going to try to interest you in something that's an old news. But I'm going to pass it off as new.
Send it.
Look at this one. Look at that headline.
U.S. schools face a crisis as the number of children drops. That's hashtag winning.
This is the most winning. And it's written by 3 ladies. Sarah Mervosh. Is she one of the tribe or no?
Doughton I'm doubting that any of them have actually procreated.
Okay, yeah. Francisca. So here, let's find it out. Hold on. Let's just do a little experiment where the New York Times doesn't like us. Oh. I wonder if I will look up these women because I kind of want to know now. I want to know if they actually have babies. That should be listed as prominently. Like in my bio, it's husband and father in that order. Not only is that the order
appropriate.
It's the way that they were supposed to happen. It's also like, those are the priorities of the relationship. So, okay, fewer students. Many public school districts are confronting unfilled classrooms and hard choices about school closures. That's crazy to me. Why would that be? As American women are having fewer babies each year, these American women have chosen to write an article about it instead of having babies about it. The number of young children in the United States is dwindling. The number of illegal aliens sneaking into this country apparently is not, and we're not going to deport them. We need amnesty. Guys, we're going to need amnesty to be able to keep our schools solvent.
Correct.
So that the schools that they're taking money from us to keep open have enough students instead of just closing them down. Anyway, okay, the trend is now catching up in the nation's public school districts. There are simply fewer children to attend school in America today. The number of public school students in kindergarten through 12th grade has fallen in 30 states since the mid-2010s. But have they dropped the cost or the taxes on this thing? Enrollment in public schools. So I actually have a picture of the public schools thing. I think I can pull the graph up. Give me a second here. I'll pull the graph up. Elementary school was falling even before the pandemic, allegedly. Do you believe that or no?
No, not at all.
I don't either. I kind of actually don't believe anything that these people say. Let me put the graph up of the enrollment and we'll try to get a little look at what we think.
Did the teachers' salaries fall? Was it commensurate in the fall? Because they don't have to work as hard if they have smaller class sizes.
Dude, shut your mouth. You don't say that. They work harder than anybody. They're the hardest working people for almost the whole year, but not the whole year.
Mm-hmm. They get summers off and afternoons off. And
I'm not trying to be a jerk about
material year to year.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a jerk about teachers, but
in third grade,
I had great teachers growing up. I don't think they're doing the same thing today because I've seen the quality of people. By the time I got into college and I saw who was coming out of the College of Education, which was what it was required to do to be a teacher, I just was like, all hope is lost.
I remember seeing my grade school teachers working at fruit stands over the summer because they went into that profession knowing that it was a low-paying profession. It was actual service. Now, there's all these union deals that are made where it says, look, well, if you work for us for 12 months, then you can take 2.5 years of maternity leave.
There was a really big kid. There was a major difference. When I was a kid, all of the teachers had husbands that had jobs that basically funded their lives. And the teaching was sort of like, it was like a hobby that sort of offset its own costs, but probably didn't pay for itself, even like by taxes, especially where I lived in California when I was a kid. And I'm sure the same thing in Texas, property taxes are high. And now you just got a bunch of like single ladies and gay dudes teaching kindergarten or whatever. Okay, so here you go. Enrollment changes since 2014, all grades and elementary. So blue is elementary and orange is all grades. And they started dropping in 2019 for all grades, but elementary school started dropping off in 2016. And it's precipitously low. It's down like 7%, 6%.
Mm-hmm. And all grades is going to track because as the kids go through school, that those numbers will then be reduced because the flow of kids going through is the same pool of kids.
Well, here's the second thing. Yeah, of course, they're going to have to track because all grades are going to fall as the younger schools does. But the other thing is this. I don't know how many families you know that have numerous kids. Like I'm almost on the ladder of people who have like a few kids. I've got 4, right? 5 is the entry level to be like a multi-family kind of family or a multi-child family, in my opinion. That's Kyle
You have to get a
Seraphin's.
specialized van at that point.
5 means, yeah, you have 7 to move. We could do it all in my minivan as it stands right now. My wife's minivan that drives around has room for, 5 kids. But it starts getting tight. 5 is the lowest rung of the ladder of you have some children, and people still look at me like, oh, you have some children. And I'm like, no, I don't. I know people that have some children. They have 5, 7. I know people who have 9 children, right? And all of them, freaking all of the people that have more than 4 children homeschool their kids that I've seen, at least that are in my age bracket or that have children that are my kids' age. So like if your kids are under the age of 10 and you've got 4 or more kids, there is a very high, like it is assumed, it is a default position when you meet someone in our age brackets, 30s and 40s, who have more than 4 children, that homeschooling is the default. It's assumed. They're like, you guys homeschool your kids, as they conclude that it's true. Kind of like my boss was like, you're a whistleblower. I'm like, assuming the positive. Yes, I am. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
It's assumed. That's why we're dropping. No one's like, hey, I had a bunch of babies. I value babies. I want to go give them to the government for 8 hours a day. People are like, F that, dude. My wife's going to full-time be cooking for this army of little people that I'm creating, and I'm teaching them how to be future warlords during the apocalypse. The end. That's what's
the ideological Venn diagram overlaps really well with, oh, you have lots of kids, you homeschool, you probably read your Bible, like guns, and are in favor of deporting illegal aliens. Are we right? Are we right? Can we make some conclusory statements?
I think so. I like the idea of certain parts of homeschool. Some of the things that are good is that you can have alternative learning methods for your kids that are decided to like be slower than you want them to be. And my 5-year-old is a little bit, he's starting to catch on to some things, which is really exciting. But he was kind of delayed in grabbing a lot of the concepts that we were hoping he would get. And I'm like, look, honey, here's the deal. I'm going to go drop like $1,000 on a legit airsoft rifle system that's lightweight. And that way we can start training things like, okay, I want you to shoot the pie plate that has a 9 on it or whatever. Like we're going to shoot the word fox. Like which one of these things did I write that on the target? And we can go in the backyard and smoke targets together. You could never get that done in a real school. But like I can get my 5-year-old who's mostly obsessed with collecting debts on behalf of his Russian friends and wearing tracksuits and wearing chains around his neck. Those are all real things except the debt collecting so far. But I am going to get him on the debt collection thing.
Is he playing in a poker game hosted by Molly Bloom?
He freaking came down the stairs this morning and he was like, can I have it back today? And my wife's like, no. And he was like, I was like, what's the matter, buddy? And he's like, I can't have my tracksuit for another day. Like he got in trouble and he lost his tracksuit. He lost his tracksuit as a punishment. He shows up in white shoes, a white tracksuit, a white jacket with black Adidas on there. Sometimes the pants are backwards. So when he comes running away from me, telling me how fast he can run in a tracksuit, I see the Adidas logo on his butt, which is really funny. My freaking 5-year-old, his punishment is not losing some toy or TV privileges or sitting in the corner. He loses his freaking tracksuit and it levels him. You can only do that at homeschool too. Oh, it's so silly. Should we go back to this New York Times? Go ahead.
I mean, look, it's true. I mean, what are they going to do at recess? They say, well, take away your recess. I think tracksuit's way more devastating.
Taking away his identity as a freaking 5-year-old Russian gangster is devastating to my 5-year-old. All right. Declining enrollment is hit. I can't take it seriously. The New York Times, declining enrollment has hit many of the nation's largest urban school districts. Okay, let me just break. This doesn't matter. Here's what's more interesting. Having children, as someone who's got like a smorgasbord of like little weird people, my 2-year-old wakes up every morning and she announces to the entire house in her loudest possible voice that she is done with sleeping. And she does it in the past tense. So she does it like this. She goes, Mom! Like ear splitting. Like we'll be in bed or I'll be like making coffee quietly and like trying not to like clink the stuff. And like, I don't want to make the noise with the cup or whatever. Or I've got our French press, which is steel because I'm kind of like a little bit shaky in the morning as I get going. So I got my steel French press so I don't break it. And all of a sudden I hear this, Mom! I waked up. You know, it's like the heart, like it's a 2-year-old person that's like fits into a bottle. She's tiny and she screeches that. And then if you don't answer her immediately, which I'm not going to yell because I don't want to wake the other kids, she does it again. And then she does it again. And I sprint up there to go get her. Meanwhile, tracksuit is still sleeping in the bunk bed above her. So I get her out of there. And then she was like, I go, did you wake up? And she was like, yeah, I woke up. I was like, now what do you want to do? She was like, let's go downstairs. Let's go do stuff. So you're missing that. If you've never had kids, you miss out on crazy, funny things that nobody could tell you would be the funniest thing in your entire life. Like no work story, no military story is as funny as a 5-year-old in a tracksuit who tells you that he also uses tape regularly. He has his own rolls. I shit you not, Steve. He has his own rolls of masking tape. Don't ask me who bought it and why he has them, but they're multicolored. And he decorates his tracksuit to tighten down the slack on it. So he has less drag because he wants to go fast. But he actually understands the principles of like having too much loose clothing slows him down in theory. Not that he's moving fast enough for that. So he's constantly covered in freaking tape. And I'll just take him out places and I'll look over and he'll have like 6 weird things designed on his tracksuit in blue. His white tracksuit with blue masking tape. Anyway, somebody's buying this kid tape and I think it's my wife.
Well, I mean, she got to reward him after she steals a tracksuit, right? Like small.
Give it back to him.
increments.
Yeah, and we're apparently teaching him aerodynamics at the age of 5, or he's intuitively figured that out. He's also making himself drag parachutes, so he'll run sometimes, but he's got like a bunch of plastic bags behind him that are tied off on a belt that are slowing him down. Like, what's going on here? This is not like, you can't do that in real school. Declining enrollment has hit the nation's urban school districts, including Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. A New York Times analysis found, but smaller and suburban districts are also shrinking at a similar rate. Fewer students means less funding, you'd think, which is tied to the enrollment numbers. Many districts are now facing painful budget cuts. Painful to whom, I wonder? Steve Friend. This whole article makes me laugh.
Teachers unions probably feeling the squeeze.
Here you go. Weren't they the villains of the COVID?
Well, we have amnesty on COVID, so we can't talk about that anymore.
Oh, we can't talk about it. Okay, so school types. 2014 to 2023, share of schools. Traditional public schools had 83.4% of the student population in 2014, and they have 80.4. They've lost 3% by 2023. Charter schools account for 2% change, and private, homeschool, or not enrolled accounts for like another 1. That seems like their math might be. Is that right? I guess it is. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Why did they lump in private school, homeschool, or no school? Like, why are those all? Why is that a category? What's going on here?
They're combining the categories because it just is too hard to do investigative journalism at this point. And I think the implication for private school and homeschool is that you're probably one of those dirty Bible readers.
Yeah. No, I think that's assumed. Listen,
I love how it impacts the urban areas the worst. So we're going to use coded language to say that meteor strikes Earth tomorrow, minorities hurt the worst.
That checks. They're the ones. They're most affected by climate change too. This was my. This was kind of like. This is my my litmus test, I guess. I meet somebody on a Sunday outside of our donut place that we go to because we have routines, and one of the routines is we go get donuts. And so it's not good for you, but it doesn't make a difference. And it's a long time, 100-plus-year-old business in Texas. So we drive down to there, and we run into another family who also have kids on a Sunday morning. And it's like, what church do you go to? Just like when I was a kid and grew up, you would ask people like, hey, what church are you a member of? Because you could assume that was the case. And on a Sunday morning at a donut place in Texas, America, you can assume those people go to a church. So we asked that. And then it's like, then the question comes up about, they see you have 4 kids and they're like, you homeschool them? And the answer is like, obviously, yeah, duh. It's like, cool. Did we just become best friends? Like, you go to church and you homeschool your kids? We can be friends. Do you like guns? What kind of gun are you carrying right now? Oh, interesting. You're into the shield? I've got a little bit more capacity in my Glock. Oh, I'd like to get more capacity. Yeah, we should talk about that. Let's go to the range one day. Literally a friendship that we developed at a donut shop in public. Tell me how many friends you've had dinner with that you randomly met at while shopping or while at a restaurant. It can only happen when you can line up those priorities. And yeah, we fit into the 12.6% of people that are private, home, or not enrolled.
Kids just never came back after the coronavirus lockdown. So we can't account for those kids, which says a lot about your government because they lost children and they still want more money.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's really hurting this is my favorite part of the story. They're not worried about people not having children. They're not encouraging people saying like, hey, having kids is great. They have tracksuits and they're freaking hilarious. They do wild, funny things. I've got a daughter that captures reptiles. Like my 8-year-old will run out and capture reptiles regularly and then be like, Dad, you got to come see, I captured this lizard. And I'm like, that's cool. What is causing you to capture these lizards? She was like, I saw it, I tracked it, I cornered it, I put it in this box. It's like, my children will eat when everybody else is starving. My baby girls will be running down freaking lizards. They'll be coming to Florida and eating iguanas with you.
Oh man, that's iguana pizza. High quality meat.
It's gross. Anyway, it's just funny. Reading the story, you see what they're most concerned about. They're really upset about the funding for the schools, but they're not really interested in what the outcome for teachers is.
For
students,
natural
rather.
question that is, you're concerned about funding for the schools. Why are you concerned about the schools? And they won't say it. They're going to say our children, but they really don't care about the kids. They're concerned about the teachers because the teachers are a very important voter bloc and a very important in the political game because this is the world that they exist in. They don't exist in our world, your world, my world, where we say, hey, you know what's awesome about kids? They see the telephone wires. That's what I like to say. You drive around, you've been driving for 30 years. You don't see the electrical wires anymore because you just are focusing on what you're doing. Everything is new and fresh for a kid.
You know what?
They
That's
point out-
just you, Steve. I'm constantly looking for flock cameras, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm always
You're
looking
doing
at
counter-surveillance.
Bro, I'm looking at every single thing that's up in the air. I'm like, who's got cameras and what are they reporting back to? So, but yes, other than me, you're right. Kids are out there like learning for the first time. Like, hey, look at all this stuff that's out there.
And they say things hysterical. I mean, there was an entire television show that Bill Cosby did before everybody realized that he was evil. Kids say the darndest things.
Mhm.
They're hysterical. They're little people who are functionally retarded because their prefrontal cortex hasn't developed at all.
Correct.
And yet we imbibe and record everything that we say, so they throw it back to us. I mean, I take a lot of pride in talking to my kids like an adult, even though I know they don't understand a lot of the stuff that I say, just so I can impact their vocabulary. And then when they throw it back at me, it's hysterical. My oldest son, when he was 4 years old, he never said we're here. He always said we have arrived.
Yes, I knew that in my head before you said it. I'm like, what would a dad who's being too much say? Oh, yes, we have arrived. Yeah, my daughter says all kinds of weird British things because she has like British read stories that are narrated to her, and so she says things, and I'm like, she says, I'm trying to think of good examples. I don't have off the top of my head. All right,
Don't let her spell color with a U. That's too fancy.
no. She's not allowed to do British things. She can just say words American style in a British format. Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, I got this article which you wanted to bring up, and we'll go through this. Can you run me through how we know this? This I guess goes under the category of we're winning too much and we're getting sick of it. So let me know how this works.
Yeah, congratulations, America, for the Department of Homeland Security. Mark Wayne Mullen at the helm. Headline: Trump administration axes fast track training for new ICE recruits.
What it means, axes, Steve Friend?
They're getting rid of the streamlined process where I believe they cut it down to like a 7-week process.
Okay.
Which makes sense if you're bringing in people who have prior law enforcement or military experience. They need to know some of the specificity that is for an agency. But if you're bringing somebody along who's never picked up a firearm before, that's where it makes sense. But we were assured that we were going to deal with some mass deportation, so we need to beef up ICE. Well, we're not doing that anymore, so we're going to go back to the slow process. So we're looking at 5 to 6 months to matriculate new ICE agents,
yes,
which isn't fast enough. And then on top of that, the people that received the streamlined training process that are in the field right now, they're going to pull them back and then take other agents who are more experienced to give them training in the field. So neither one of those people is going to be doing the deportations.
Good, not good. This is not
the
helping
Mean
us.
Girls. This is Mean Girls. The Epstein administration is all about Mean Girls. They got the American people who were the cool kid to break up with his girlfriend, which was the Democrats, and vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of embracing it and saying like, hey, he came over to me because he likes what I'm about and I'm about mass deportations.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make myself more like his ex-girlfriend and go soft on that sort of stuff because I want his friends or her friends to like me. The Mean Girl friends, like the New York Times and the Politico and Axios. So we'll just go soft. And then that kid's going to look up the voter and say, my ex-girlfriend was hotter than you and gave me better bennies. So I'm just going back.
If you knew all this, you might say that it would shock you to your core. This could shock you deeply. Speaking of ex-girlfriends, let's see what Daniel says.
I am asked all the time. One question I get about my other job in the FBI I just got out of is what was with the tweet, the shock to my core?
This is the other job that he was at for 292 days? Yeah, okay.
Well, in case you missed it, some of you may have, I'm going to tell you. Because what Barack Obama, former president, said the other day on, was it Colbert's show? No, we're not. No. Sorry. No, we're not doing that. You know, I know things too, Mr. President, and so do you. Not pretending I was at your level. You were the president. I was just the deputy director of the FBI, but it's not a small thing. And I'm not letting you get away with this. No chance.
Does he have an FBI badge in the background with a like reference to the law?
I don't know. Did he? Holy crap, he did. Hold on, let's put him back on there. 1 second here. Hold on. Let me add Steve's No, okay. I'll just put it on. We'll see it, and then we'll come back to it.
I am asked all the time. One question I get about my other job in the FBI I just got out.
Yeah. What? What sort of secret? Didn't he just do a whole thing about how people are trying to like sell their secret knowledge, that they have experience and that they use that as a gatekeeper to say, I've got secret knowledge, but then they never tell you what the secret knowledge is? The shit is his secret. What secret knowledge was he just dropping on us?
Well, he also did the Zootopia with it too. He is, people are asking me about the tweet that I sent out about being shocked to my core.
Then did he reference it?
And let me tell you about that right now and talk about Barack Obama and answer a question that I really want to. And that is, I don't like Barack Obama. Neither does anybody in my audience. So let's talk Barack Obama. And can I say that name one more time to really get your blood pressure up? Barack Obama. And thank you. By the way, buy this protein cereal.
The magic spoon. The most unenthusiastic ad read that I've ever heard in my entire life. I actually remember where I was. Do you remember where you were when they landed on the moon? Do you remember where they were when the Challenger exploded? I remember where I was when Dan Bongino read magic spoon ads that I heard for the first time. I was mowing my lawn in Liberty Hill, Texas, and I was heading on the backstroke away from the patio, about 3 rows in from the fence line. I shit you not. And it came on, and he was like, let me tell you about this cereal that we make. We do here, this magic spoon. And let me just tell you about, it's like the cereal of your childhood, but it's like for a grown up or whatever. And yeah, it's just so great that I eat this magic spoon. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what are we doing? Okay, cool. I was like, that was the most impactful shitty ad read. I'm like, 1, I now know about this thing that I didn't know existed before. And 2, I know that I will never buy it. I will never trade my hard-earned cash for whatever the hell. I'm not doing mail order cereal. I'm never going to do mail order cereal. Are you, where were you even supposed to go buy that stuff? Somebody who like listened to that forever will know.
Just the people who bought it just made
Did they
sure
mail
they
it
used
to
his
you?
promo code, right?
Yeah, you use promo code Danny or Daniel or promo code Shake and Core or whatever, and then they give you 20% off on the
292% off.
They'll give you some percentage off the mail order online ship direct to your door breakfast cereal thing that Dan Bongino unenthusiastically endorses.
Totally fresh.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. When I was a kid, they did. You didn't get mail order cereal. You would mail in the box tops and get things if you were so inclined. But my parents would never do that, and I was afraid of using the mail, which I still am doing. I still don't like to put stamps on things and send it out.
You remember the box tops and the cereals?
Bro, have I sent you? Listen,
help the schools out.
Have I sent you anything via mail, Steve Friend?
Yes.
This is how you know I love you, because I have like a physical, visceral aversion to going and mailing people stuff. I hate spending money on postage. I hate putting it in a box, and like I'll put stuff in a box and then just be like, well, that was the end of that. It's in a box. It's done. I've done most of the work. I've done 80% of the sending. I hope somebody else comes along and puts the address on this thing and sends it where it needs to go, because I'm done. I
daughter waked and you boxed. That's how it is.
This is why my wife is really good. I freaking hate boxing. I have boxed things up and sent them to you, and I did them all myself. And I can barely stand it, dude. Just so you know, like that is me 100% real. I hate postage.
What, picking me up from the airport or helping me move a couch? Like that's the ultimate.
I will totally move your couch 10 times out of 10 before I send you a box in the mail. I'll move couches for people I don't even like. Okay. But I will not send you something in the mail unless I love you. My cousin just got a box. It took me 2.5 weeks to get it out the door. From the time that I put it in the box, it just sat on my workbench, and I looked at it and I went, ugh. Can't handle it. Anyway, but like I never sent off the box tops, but we collected the box tops in case we did. I never did mail order cereal. Let's talk about Obama real quick, just as we wrap up here.
The White House shouldn't be able to direct the Attorney General to go around prosecuting whoever.
I am asked all the time. One question I get about my other job in the FBI I just got out of is what was with the tweet, the shock to my core? Well, in case you missed it, some of you may have, I'm going to tell you, because what Barack Obama, former president, said the other day on, was it Colbert's show? No, we're not. No. Sorry. No, we're not doing that. You know, I know things too, Mr. President.
He is not a smart man. I'm coming to realize the more like I listen to him critically, it's just, I don't know what that was. Steve, no, we're not doing that. Who listens to that? What is the audience for that? First of all, who is the audience for mail order cereal, and who is the audience for guy who just doesn't say things and insinuates that he might know things that he's not going to tell you?
The same people who get super excited about cleaning up the reflecting pool.
You probably don't recognize dirt, Steve. That's probably your problem. You probably like it dirty where you live. It's probably filthy where you live and you don't even know because, but not me. I like a beautiful America. That's what I like. I also love Russiagate. I do. Whenever I'm in trouble, I just re-rack that same round that I've already fired, and I try to fire a little bit more out of the same brass case that's already empty. And if I really need to re-rack it, I send it downrange on the limited hangout with Sean Hannity. Here's the FBI director who's totally not trying to rehab his image by going and telling a bunch of boomers how great he was one time, where he literally spent not 2 years of his life like running after a 2-year-old, which by the way is super fun and would be more rewarding. No, he literally uncovered evil from the Democrats because they're the bad guys.
It took me 2 years of my life to prove the following: that a political party in the United States of America in the 21st century would go overseas and hire some bogus intelligence asset to manufacture fraudulent, fake, unverified information, funnel that to not just the intelligence community, but the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and then take those packaged lies that they had paid for with campaign finance funds and go into a secret surveillance court and illegally spy on your opponent to be the next president of the United States. I think that was 45 seconds. That took 2 years of my life. And what did we find out? The FISA court themselves came back and said these warrants were illegal, that the FBI did not provide evidence of exculpatory evidence and innocence, and that the FBI essentially lied in those applications.
Which is exactly why he's arguing to extend FISA. No.
What did he just say? What, like, is that news to anybody, or is that just like credentials?
It's always an argument to authority for him.
Is
How
that
did
why
he
we
become
can't
on everybody's radar within the MAGA Con Inc. space? He was the head of the Russiagate investigation from the House Select Committee on Intelligence. He was working with Devin Nunes there.
Okay.
That was how he became a known quantity within the space and attached himself to MAGA.
But is that why the pedophiles have to go free?
Well, that and the Dows over 50,000.
Cool. There's so many opportunities to point out this guy is a clown. And one of the best ones is somebody screaming about transparency nonstop, which you can translate as to
things we like.
Okay, things we like, which means what we don't like is testimony from Kash Patel in front of a grand jury. They were just released the grand jury testimony. I think this is related to the classified documents case. You want to set yourself up for like the ultimate dunk. You should have never even given this document out, but here you have a Democrat reading Kash Patel's testimony, grand jury. Dude, have you seen this?
I've seen it, yeah.
Incoming, folks. If you don't know how transparent Kash Patel is, the only thing they actually published in this entire document was that he pled the fifth. He did Dave Chappelle.
Here we are. Testimony of Kash Patel.
Kash-Yap.
Taken in the presence of a full quorum of the grand jury. Thursday, October 13th, 2022. Good, we're good to go. Oh man, they were exhibits. And all the exhibits have been redacted. Not much there. No info there. Everything redacted.
This is such
everything
theater.
redacted. Redacted? Redacted, 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 redacted. Redacted.
I will say that the one thing that I very much like about this, and I'll get Steve to weigh in on this, whenever I'm saying the same thing over and over again, because I have children, I begin singing it, which I appreciate. That's a definite dad move.
Redacted until the court reporter says, okay, we're off the record. Except for one thing.
One thing. Go back. Go back to it.
One line shows Kash Patel saying, so upon the advice of counsel, I'll be invoking my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Most transparent FBI in history.
Our chat has the redacted thing where they just put black squares up going on right now. It's like, that is a dad move, though, is it not? Do you ever sing things to your kids?
That, or when they use a phrase that just generates some memory of a song lyric in your head, you just start singing the song.
Yeah. My kids I'll sing the same thing when they're not doing it. Maybe if they hear it in a different tone. So I'll be like, go clean up the mat. Hey, go get all the stuff off the mat. Go get all the stuff off the mat. You know, and they're looking like, why are you singing? It's like, because I need to get through to whatever block you had from hearing directions. And I don't want to scream at you because I'm trying not to cause childhood trauma that I'm going to have to deal with. Luckily, I married a therapist, so my wife can deal with that later. But I would like to make less work for my wife in the future by not screaming at you, and I'll sing it at you. That needs to be done. Should we do this this funny thing? Speaking of transparency and redacted, I have the funniest thing. I didn't show it on this show. I showed it on Viva Fry's show yesterday. But I have the documents that Cash App Patel, I'm alleging, gave to John Solomon in a record time to be able to substantiate their hit piece on me. Would that be...
That would be in the interest of transparency. In the
interest of transparency. Yeah. Steve, have you done didn't you try to get some records from the FBI via FOIA?
Yes. I tried to get my own personnel records, which shouldn't have required a FOIA, but then was told I had to FOIA, and they responded back that it would take them somewhere between 5 and 6 years to give me my personnel records.
How long?
5 to 6 years.
In your experience, have you ever seen the FBI get lickety-split turnaround time on their shooting incident review team findings ever?
No. I think that they wait that out until the agent retires.
I think they do. Hold on. Let me put it into Google and say, how fast does the FBI return FOIA requests on a cert review? That seems like a thing that we could look up. Can we look that up in Google? Here we go. Okay, the Special Investigative Review Unit. Okay, CERT is actually the Shooting Incident Review Team, so whatever. Are often records regarding sensitive matters typically take 30 business days or longer. Because by the way, federal law says they have to do it in 30 days. While 20 business days, the statutory target, high volume or complex requests often exceeds 60 days. This is the funniest thing I've ever read. Reviews involving investigations or live volumes are handled by CERT, take longer than simple requests. They literally have no answer here. They actually went with the federal government's answer. The answer is years. Yes? Okay.
Yes, which is what we see all the time from Judicial Watch. Tom Fitton is always reposting his tweets from 2023 saying, like, we're filing a FOIA request.
We're still in the market for this information, and the information is still not available to us. Here, I don't know. Let's do this real quick. Let me add... So since Stephen Richards from Just the News actually invited me to share this, I think he actually said, you can share this on your podcast. Here's our text messages. Feel free to share it on your podcast. So we will. And this is the end. Oh, it's not actually very good. I wonder if I can, let me get some screenshots here. Stand by. In the meantime, I will have you. So this is backwards, by the way. This is page 2. And this is page 1. Classic. I bet you the FBI created this for whatever it's worth. Do you also believe the FBI scanned in documents backwards?
It's entirely believable that would happen. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to read the executive summary of what took place on April the 1st of 2022 with redactions?
Sure. On April 1st, 2022, at approximately 9:15 a.m., Albuquerque Special Agent Redacted unintentionally discharged one round in an unsafe manner from his FBI-issued Colt pattern carbine while participating in a quarterly firearms qualification. Acting Chief Inspector Felix A. Rivera Esperaqua delegated the shooting incident review to Albuquerque on 4/18/2022. So it was an emergency that took 17 days to refer over.
Jump into that for a second, just if you would. What happened? There was a shooting, and then what happened next?
It took 17 days for the chief inspector to refer it to the Albuquerque office where the agent works.
Right. Got it. Okay.
All right. So back to our original date, April 1st. Special agent participated in a quarterly firearms qualification at Redacted. During a training event, the special agent discharged one round from his Colt pattern carbine while the firearms instructor was in front of the firing line. INSD was not notified of the intentional discharge until 4/18/2022. So the attempted murder was allowed to go for 17 days.
Have you ever seen someone fire a round while someone was downrange?
No.
How would that, like, what would be the mechanism that keeps people from doing that? This is the funniest thing. It's like, I don't need to debunk this because it's like, I don't know that this has ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this has ever happened this way. Well, it probably has on a SWAT team, to be fair. Like, they tend to shoot each other.
Yeah, I mean, especially Washington field office.
Correct.
You would unload the firearms before there was going to be somebody downrange. Typically, if there was a long term, like say an instructor's going down there to score a bunch of targets or something to that effect, you wouldn't have any ammunition, right?
Yeah, it's like make your weapon safe.
A target that got blown down or something to that effect, they call the line cold, ceasefire, nobody has a weapon out, holster all pistols, you let the rifles sling, hands clear behind you, and then the instructor would go and address whatever's downrange temporarily.
The FBI, now I'm remembering this because I don't shoot with like gay feds anymore, but like there's a whole thing that like once you've made your weapon safe and clear in the holster, you literally put your hands behind your back and show your open fingers. Yes. I forgot about that. It's like a thing. It's like for anybody who's ever been in the military, it's like doing what do you call it? It's like doing parade rest, and that's kind of where I snap to. You go to a parade rest, but your fingers are back and open so that they can see that you have nothing in your hands, so you're not going to like come up with a weapon. Just for safety, because a lot of the people that are shooting there have never held a gun before, and a lot of them are women, but I repeat myself. And so, yeah.
They're so strict on it, if you forget, they won't call the line cold until a instructor comes down to you and says, show your hands behind your back.
Right. Okay. So I've never seen it done that somebody actually fired a round intentionally when someone else was downrange, even on accident. I mean, I guess if somebody like put their foot in front of the firing range or something, I guess it could happen, but I've never seen anybody like step in front of it ever. Never. No. All right. Where are we at in this thing? This is evidence was referred to. Okay. So this is, now we're down to the, it was referred to
affairs section.
Evidence was collected, right?
Oh, evidence was referred to. The intentional discharge was not collected. Special Agent Blank, redacted, issued a Colt pattern carbine, serial number redacted, was submitted to the Ballistics Research Facility, BRF, for a weapons serviceability inspection. BRF determined the weapon was in normal operating condition with no anomalies or unauthorized modifications. Special Agent redacted did not provide a signed sworn statement. So the weapon functioned as it was supposed to. This matter was referred to the Internal Affairs section. A whole bunch gets redacted in that portion. Special Agent failed to adhere to the cardinal safety rule of never pointing your firearms at anyone unless you were justified in violation of Firearms Policy Guide, etc., which was dated June 22nd, 2017.
So that's the last time they updated the Firearms Policy Guide. So here's the thing. The last line down here is really good. I'll put it on the screen. Oh, you can't see it. Allow me to read it for you. It says, Inspection Division assessed that S.A. Blank fired intentionally in an unsafe manner. And so here's what the punishment is. It's right here.
So the special agent in charge of Albuquerque will ensure the special agent redacted receives remedial training consistent with the Firearms Policy Guide, section 4.3.1, which, if memory serves, would be a recitation of the 3 cardinal safety rules.
When do they do recitations of the 3 safety rules in the FBI, in your experience?
The first thing that they do at every firearm session.
Every firearm session? So what would be the burden of this particular instruction that is being put on? Like maybe this special agent redacted would be the person who would get to like recite the 3 firearm safety rules as they are listed?
There is a certain level of, I guess, public shaming that might go along with that. Yeah, that's par for the course. Who wants to recite the safety rules?
Oh, Special Agent Redacted, you're in remedial training. Can you tell us that treat every firearm as if it's loaded, keep your finger off the trigger unless you're intending to press it, and never point it at a target that you're not justified to point it at? That thing?
Never point a weapon at anyone unless you're justified. And if you get one word off, then you fail in the academy.
In the academy, yeah, that's true. Okay, so here's where this came from. This is from Just the News. This is how I knew like we were dealing with a clown show the other day. Just read what that says there.
We got our FOIAs back for what appears to be firearms incident we spoke about last year. Several people that we've spoken to about the incident also have confirmed the details. I've attached those reports. If you care to comment further beyond our previous phone call, please do. Feel free to screenshot this for your podcast as well.
So I did.
He knows the incoming fire's coming.
Right. Okay. Now, they told us that I didn't know this from this text message, but I found out in the story yesterday that they got 10 years worth of firearms records for every single shooting event that took place in New Mexico, the entire state, from 2015 to 2025, which encompassed not only my entire time in New Mexico, but also my entire time in the entire FBI. Okay. They got 20 cert reviews back, which encompassed 15 shooting incident reviews.
15 in one field office over 10 years?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what kind of cowboy stuff's going on in New Mexico.
Here's what's wild. 2 of those 15 involved the agent either shooting themselves or shooting the neighbor's house while cleaning the gun. And they had no questions about that. By the way, those people are still agents, I'm sure of it.
Mm.
1 involved an alleged shooting while someone was downrange, which couldn't happen because we've just explained the protocols of the range. That doesn't go down. And then the result was read him the safety rules again. It's so good.
Attempted murder of a federal agent necessitates a recitation of the 3 cardinal safety rules rather than being tackled, handcuffed, and sent to prison.
So here's what we got. This is from the official shooting review. This is the Shooting Incident Review Group, or the SIRG. Look at the date, just for record.
It's July 28th, 2023.
What were we doing on July 28th, 2023? Because I think we were already doing Friendly Friday.
Was it Friday?
I don't know, but I know we were already doing Friendly Friday by that point. Should I go look it up? What day of the week was 7/28/23? That seems like a thing we should. It was a freaking Friday, baby! We were probably covering the OPR. Dude, it can't make this stuff up. Oh, it was a Friday. I'm showing my math. Whatever. I'm showing my math, people. There it is. Look at that.
Wow.
So good. Okay.
We might have been doing the OPR files that we gave to John.
That's what I think we were doing by that time. In 2023, I think we were doing the OPR files. So we were pointing out the stuff like this shit that shows up in the FBI, like, you know, where like somebody like bangs a coworker in the office and then steals someone's car while drunk and takes it to a strip club and then finds out that the source that they're actually also banging and getting paid by FBI money took a ride in the FBI car. And then, they were given 7 days on the bricks and told to go forth and sin no more because they were in ASAC or whatever. So there's that. Okay, Albuquerque Field Office, unsafe intentional discharge delegated. The incident date was 4/1/2022, as you pointed out in this document, which I think is hilarious. Do you know what also happened on 4/18/2022 when this investigation was begun?
No.
That was my last day in the FBI, Steve friend. That was the day they took my badge and my gun. The day they took my badge and my gun, they also opened an investigation into a shooting that took place that didn't matter. And their result was 14 or 15 months later that somebody should take the guy who no longer works here and give him remedial firearm safety training. Unreal stuff. Okay, so this communication was firmness, the analysis, comments, and observation from the Shooting Incident Review Group with respect to the captioned shooting incident. It says, SA blank, intentionally discharge 1 round from a firearm. Read this little paragraph one time, and while you do so, I'm going to bring up something funny just for people's awareness from the story, because this is the best part of the story that I didn't realize when I was covering it yesterday.
April 1st, 2022, Special Agent Redacted intentionally discharged 1 round from his FBI-issued Colt pattern carbine in an unsafe manner while participating in a quarterly firearms qualification. There were no injuries as a result of the discharge. The shooting incident review was delegated to the Albuquerque Field Office by Acting Chief Inspector Felix Rivera Esparza. Special Agent Redacted declined to provide a signed sworn statement. ERT did not process the scene, and no other law enforcement agencies were involved.
Right.
So I don't believe your discharging the firearm was during a qualification.
So here's what I wrote. I was like, hey, that doesn't look familiar. The last time I qualified was on March 4th, 2022. That's factually and demonstrably correct. There is no time that I did a qualification after that for the FBI until I left the FBI. And the reason I know that, it was my wife's birthday.
To do a sworn statement for the
I
shooting
don't know.
review that
I don't remember if anybody ever did, but apparently if they did, apparently I would have declined, but I don't remember anyone asking me to ever do that.
They might have emailed it to your bureau email, which you didn't have access to in the 15 months after the fact.
It's possible. I literally, I just don't remember. So anyway, so I was like, that doesn't look familiar. The last time I qualified was March 4th, 2022. I have some pretty specific memories. I used to be an FBI agent. That report says no ERT was dispatched to collect evidence. There were no other agencies involved, and the inspection division began the day that I was suspended. I was like, the day that you and I discussed was run by an HSI special agent firearms instructor, and it wasn't a firearms qualification. So if someone told you that the cert involved me, they got an awful lot of details wrong. Hopefully the FBI is more competent than that, was my response to him. Which honestly, hopefully the FBI is more competent than that. And then he's like, this is my favorite. Do you remember the name of the instructor? Some random dude that I knew for like 15 seconds that worked in the office that wasn't part of my agency? No, I don't freaking remember him. Seemed like a nice guy though. He's like, we'd love to get to the bottom of this. I'm like, there's no bottom of this, you idiots. Like, don't act like there's like some sort of like hard-hitting journalism going on, you fraud. So anyway, I don't remember his name. He was the only HSI guy in Las Cruces. Like, go ask your sources that apparently know that we were there. Are there any other details from the documents that don't match? Yeah, I just told you. I didn't do a firearms qual on that day. And by the way, their own story was full of shit. So here's the best part, because I wanted to go this. House testimony alleged unsafe handling, threatening behavior, leaking sensitive information. And apparently all three of these. So the fun thing is, you and I did our response to this a couple weeks ago, right? And the opening of the call between these dudes, this dude and me, he says, we've been pointed to some old testimony. It's like, okay, so Kash wants you to do. I knew it was a hippies right then, right? And I knew that he was being asked by Patel. So this is the best part. This is Chris Ray's executive assistant director of human resources, who took your clearance, took my clearance, took my job, took Garrett O'Boyle's job, took Marcus Allen's job, took Phil Kennedy's job, sat down at a table with a bunch of grown men who had beards on and asked, like, I'd like to get to know you. Can you tell me your favorite dessert? Because she was a complete dipshit. Then I published all of her emails, which was embarrassing. And apparently she believes that I wanted to use her as a target, even though I didn't know who she was or didn't know that she was part of anything until after I didn't work there. So that was all really funny. So they're now touting Chris Ray's number 4 in the Bureau, maybe one of the most powerful people who ran all the COVID policy and training division and human resources. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
It would have been director. So you've got Chris Ray, then you got Paula Bate, you got whoever the ADD was, who I can't remember, and then you have the executive assistant directors.
There were 6 EADs at the time, so she would be
number 4,
the 4th spot.
She was the 4th most powerful person in the FBI, and under Chris Ray. And so they're touting her. By the way, as we understand it, not only was she a day drinker, but she also got removed from her job. She resigned or whatever, retired from her job while she was being investigated for being a piece of garbage. So there you go. She told lawmakers that Seraphin's security clearance has been suspended, stemmed from violations of safe weapons handling policy, threatening behavior, and unauthorized release of sensitive information. What would the unauthorized release of sensitive information be, do you think, Steve? What would we call that?
A leak?
Being a whistleblower?
Oh, that's right. No, that's actually
it's only a leak if it bothers the director. So yeah, so they were defending themselves. Okay, she wrote, quote, in his specific case, the mishandling, this is in their article. This is what they're quoting. And this is the best part, because we just read the incident review that they got. Wouldn't you have some questions if the shooting incident review and the testimony don't have any sort of like similarities to each other? In his specific case, the mishandling of the weapon was that this is a great sentence construction. The mishandling of the weapon was that they were at a firearms range. She speaks like my 5-year-old does. He was like, I would like to have a pistol. What's real? It's like, okay. The firearms instructor had called for the line to be holstered safe. Do you see any problems with that in what we just read?
You can't holster a rifle.
Shut your mouth. Are you sure?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to go on a long limb on that one.
I actually saw a rifle holster the other day that someone posted. It's like some sort of weird Kydex thing that you can snap your magazine into and hold on to your rifle. And for a brief second, because I am a Tackleberry and we are going to be doing that program, I briefly desired the rifle holster. But then I was like, that's retarded. I don't need that.
Yeah, thou shalt not covet. No,
I won't covet it. Okay, firearms instructors called for the line to be holstered safe. So we have a problem here. And then they check and confirms that everybody is holstered safe. She doubled down on the words holstered safe. We still have a problem here. No rifle holsters exist. The firearms instructor then announces that he's moving forward to fix a broken target. And as he moved forward, Kyle Seraphin pulled his gun and shot across the range diagonally in front of the firearms instructor as he moved forward to fix the target and shot at the target he was going to fix. Okay. If we are holstered safe, can I pull my gun and shoot it?
No.
Why not?
It does not have ammunition.
What does holstered safe mean, Steve, friend?
It would mean that you have released the magazine, ejected any rounds that might have been in the chamber, and then holstered up and put your hands in parade rest behind your back.
So when you read this, do you believe that that's even likely based on just the testimony of a woman? Let's say you just gave her the benefit of the doubt and she was like, she was an FBI agent. She obviously knows what she's talking about. She knows about guns because she's a lady. Do you buy that?
No, you can't, because I mean, let's even just give the maximum latitude of she doesn't know a lot about guns because she's an FBI agent and most FBI agents don't.
Correct.
So she used holster up or something like that. But when she repeats that and then regales this story that doesn't involve you getting tackled at the end of it, I think she loses a lot of credibility. By that I mean all credibility.
Have you ever had a rifle slung and someone referred to you taking your rifle slung from either not at all or low ready or something like that? Have you ever referred to it as pulled your gun?
No.
What does pulled your gun mean to you? Just
you removed it from the holster and then presented it.
Okay, so so we're still talking about handguns. It has to be, right? Like I'm just reading this stuff and I'm like, yeah, that's how I know it didn't happen, because like one, I wasn't shooting. So either they got it all wrong.
This is a bad game of telephone.
Again, which is what I claimed. Okay, then she told lawmakers that such behavior, which she called threatening and intimidating, is unacceptable in the FBI. Okay,
Like
I mean, yeah, that would be true.
You entrapped an innocent autistic man is a threat to the FBI director?
Yeah. Shh. Okay. Moore originally worked on Seraphin's clearance review before she had to recuse herself in the midst of the investigation. Do you think the executive assistant director of human resources does any clearance reviews other than signing the paper?
Not typically, but if you're out there talking about the OPR files, maybe she took a little bit more interest. But
Seraphin made a comment about her and another female executive that could be viewed as threatening or at least inappropriate.
No further information.
Additionally, I had to be recused because Mr. Seraphin expressed his desire to use me as a target, Moore testified. He communicated with another FBI employee who provided us those communications. And in that, he specifically indicated that he wanted to use me and another female executive as targets. The weirdest part about this stuff is I didn't know that she was involved in my case until after I didn't work at the FBI anymore. So
that would mean
maybe,
that if you
maybe I did
some sort of crude comment on a podcast about, like, oh, that Jen Moore, I'd use her as a target, as a hyperbole. I mean, not James Comey indictable.
I could have even said it. Like, I'm not going to pull a Tucker Carlson and be like, I didn't say that, but then I actually said it. Like, maybe I did say that, but like also like I didn't work there anymore.
But that would mean that,
by the way, I would totally use it
anymore. And she took that information and then put it into a shooting review that was from an incident that happened before you were on a podcast.
I would literally take a picture of Jen Moore, hang it at the range, and hit it with a bazooka. Like, I'd be totally fine with that because that's not a threat. That's like doing political speech. And I think she's a piece of shit. I think she represents the worst of what the FBI was and is. So yeah, like I don't care about that. But like, not her as a person, not unless the Civil War kicks off. She's not going to be a target.
Yeah, I think that's murder. Again, you wind up in prison.
Right. You're claiming that I made a legitimate threat of murder, which is not real. Or maybe I made political speech, which I'm allowed to make, and I didn't work there anymore. So hold on. Eat a bag of dicks. Have you seen my eat a bag of dicks, Steve?
No.
Hold on. Here.
Stuff.
All right, we're about to wrap this thing up here. Okay, so additionally, I had to be recused. He communicated with another FBI agent who showed us those communications. Who's the snitch that's given up our comms? And what, I'd love to see it. Anyway, or it doesn't exist, which is possible because like the rest of the stuff didn't happen either. Okay, she was asked to appear in front of Congress in April of 23 as part of a probe. Of course, it's just the news doing probes into allegations that the FBI had used security clearance reviews as a means of retaliating against whistleblowers, which was confirmed by who being hired back?
Steven Jensen?
No.
I don't know.
Didn't they hire Garrett O'Boyle back after
that's right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. The the FBI agent who is currently working and it was under criminal investigation. That happens. That's par for the course.
Stand by, dude. I'm about to give you the most funny thing that we're going to do for the day, and then we'll get wrapped up here. I'm going to blow it up as big as possible. Because this is said in a non-ironic, totally serious way by Just the News, quoting Chris Ray's Executive Assistant Director of Human Resources. You want to just read it from the top?
Quote,
do it in your most serious voice, because this is really a serious statement.
Our professional broadcast voice. Quote, the FBI does not use a suspension as punitive measure ever, Moore testified. It is only utilized in national security matters, end quote. Quote, the FBI takes whistleblowers very seriously, she later added. We encourage our employees and actually require them to report waste, fraud, abuse, and misconduct. We absolutely appreciate a whistleblower, unquote. You can read her testimony below.
They took the bottom of the thing to actually put my response. Complete fantasy, not something that ever happened. Hold on. Wait, I totally explained this away by saying it was an innocuous incident that was exploited by FBI leadership to punish him for blowing the whistle. He called it a bad game of telephone. And that because I was a whistleblower, they drummed it up. As evidenced by they opened it the day they suspended me.
I believe you also pointed out to this journalist from Just the News that this is all being reported by an executive assistant director who wasn't there.
Yeah, well, as Viva Fry pointed out yesterday, where was she? She was in Washington, D.C., as far as I can tell.
They know the best. That's how they prioritize child pornography at the end of the line.
Anyway, everything is goofy and unserious in that way. We'll wrap up. I do have a palate cleanse here. I'm just going to remind you, this is what I was really hoping for. I do think that this guy said it more eloquently. We'll go back to it since it was the beginning.
When I endorsed him, I thought we wouldn't have a new war. I thought we would get warrants for FISA that they had used to spy on him. I thought that Maha would be front and center at the HHS with Bobby Kennedy there. I thought that we would have sane foreign policy. I thought that where we put America first, that's my definition of sane. I thought we would end our involvement in the war in Ukraine. I thought we would release all the Epstein files and indict some of those SOBs. And those are all the things I'm still fighting for.
That guy's a jerk. I'm glad they spent $10 million to try to get him out of his seat, right? That makes sense.
Generational wealth to eliminate that guy.
Coming from definitely not out of Israeli and Jewish donors. No big deal. That's where it's coming from. That's the other part of it. I'll post that over on Locals if you guys want to see it. All right, Steve Friend, what do you got coming up? And then can we get out of here?
Oh, we can get out of here. I'm going to have to get out of here. No American Radicals podcast this week. I had to do training with some of my people. Did the equivalency of training this week to become a certified law enforcement officer, which, I don't know, maybe I'll use it. Chris Rock says, reach for your dreams, pursue your dreams if they're hiring. Maybe I'll become a sheriff one day. So I'll have Monday to look forward to for the next American Radicals podcast. That's going to be on Rumble and YouTube at AmRadPod, also Spotify at AmRadPod. And in the meantime, I'm going to be heading over to Tampa for a WWE wrestling event with my younger son. Hopefully John Solomon, Mike Davis will not be there breathlessly looking at all those hulking men, but they do have a proclivity for liking the 80-year-old, slightly orange dudes more so. So I should be okay.
Oh, it's gross, dude. Yeah, I think you need to run for sheriff just because you need to run for sheriff.
Guys, if you live in Steve's area. Friendly Friday.
Yeah, if you're the sheriff, you're the boss. Okay, I've got a palate cleanse that is just your speed. You might want to hold on to this. You can jump off when it ends. But Steve, thanks for being on today. And just remember, taxation, this is kind of how I would explain it to my children if they were like, hey, what are taxes? And taxation is theft doesn't really hit the same way.
They earn the money, we take some. They spend the money, we take some. And if they buy a property, we'll take some. But if they sell the property, we'll still take some. Now, if they invest their money wisely and grow it, we'll take some. If they invest their money poorly and lose it, I wish we could help. And if they want to get a tiny bit of enjoyment in their miserable lives with cigarettes or alcohol, we'll take even more. Now, the more money they make, the more money we take. Unless they make a lot of money or they're friends of ours, in which case we take none. And then once a year, even though we know exactly how much they should have paid, they need to figure it out for themselves and let us know, because there's a chance that we could take even more.
We're not voting our way out of this, buddy.
No, we're not. But,
okay, well,
hope springs eternal. Wait 6 to 8 more months.
Good to go. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your WWF.
I will do that.
WWE.
Talk to you later.
All right, talk to you later. Cool. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys go out there and spend some of your hard-earned money on government and taxes, because that's why we're really here, right? We're making sure that we can fund this organization that steals from us and supports the pedophiles. I'm into it. By the way, there is nothing inaccurate about what that dude just said, as far as I could tell. I think that is spot on, and that's probably why Donald Trump is more worried about the pool, which we paid for, because he cares about dirt. God bless all of you guys. Thanks for being part of our program. I hope you had a good one. We didn't even break for any Spotify ads. There may be some jumped in there. I don't know. Maybe we'll stick some in or not. It's hard to say. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for taking this ride with us. Thanks for being part of the audience, despite the fact that we've been now PNG'd by the dumpy, doughy people that don't like us. And I should have said thank you to John Solomon. I shouldn't have said F you, John Solomon, yesterday. That was not right. I actually have been really enjoying going back down the memory hole of exactly how stupid this whole journey has been. And then also the blessing that I get to know all of you people who have joined our chat and make this program possible. And then I get to come tell people about my 5-year-old and his tracksuit. Cool. Have a fantastic weekend. Really. We'll get some content up for the Tackleberry Project, weather permitting. I went out to go shoot and it was like all muddy. So we'll try our best. We'll see you guys on the other side of it. I'll see you on Monday at 0930.
Thanks for listening to the Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.